And Eagles remain undefeated in the NFL, and Buffalo next turns their attention to Sunday Night Football, where they'll be hosting the New England Patriots. Though news heading into today for the injuries, Ian Rappaport is reporting punter Cameron Johnson is expected to miss some time after suffering a lower leg injury yesterday. And then something to keep an eye on starting this week. Players such as rookie cornerback Max Hairston and kicker Tyler Bass can begin their return to practice and start the process of coming off of IR. Head coach Sean McDermott will be speaking with the media at around 4 p.m. Week 4, though, is going to wrap up tonight with a Monday night doubleheader. 7:15, Dolphins host the New York Jets, and Miami. They're going to be in their rivalry jerseys, and then for some of the players already out tonight, Jets are going to be without linebacker Jermaine Johnson and defensive back Jarvis Brownlee, while Miami, they are down a few corners, Storm Duck and Jason Marshall Jr. That game is going to be over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. While at 8:15, the Bengals, they are in Denver to take on the Broncos. Just wide receiver Marvin Mims is questionable for Denver, while the Bengals are going to be without edge rusher Shamar Stewart and tight end Noah Fant. Some other injury notes, Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors officially has suffered a torn ACL. He's going to be out for the season. And the Ravens, the injury issues continue for them following their loss yesterday to KC. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey out at least a few weeks with a calf injury. Defensive tackle Nnamdi Matabuka is out for the season due to a neck injury. And then quarterback Lamar Jackson, he left yesterday's loss with a hamstring injury, and now his status for next week is up in the air. And then in baseball, the playoffs will start tomorrow. Toronto is the 1 seed in the AL. They are going to play the winner of the Yankees-Red Sox in their 3-game wild card series, and that series will be in New York. And then Sports Talk on WGR is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL games live every Sunday all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Tunnel screen to Shakir, works his way through a tackler, stays on his feet, breaks away from another, 20, 10, 5, Khalil Shakir, slippery as ever. Play clock at 1, handoff to Kamara, who is slammed and dropped by the rookie, Deion Walker.
It's Mike Schopp.
Orbit motion, it's a reverse, Olave going Philly special, and it's intercepted by Cole Bishop at the 2-yard line, and up the sideline he goes. What a play by Cole Bishop.
And the Bulldog.
Fakes the handoff to Cook. Allen gonna run it, tucks it, and he reaches the goal line. The beast has been released as he takes it in on a 5-yard touchdown run. Fakes the throw to the flat, looks down the sideline, he's got Kincaid, who's gonna walk it in for a 23-yard touchdown.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
Football Monday on WGR brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. You worried for us? Are you worried for the good people of Western New York and your friends, your family, our listeners, our colleagues? Are you worried for the whole scene?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I don't. I don't know how we're going to make it to January here. I'm afraid we're not going to make. I mean that's obviously hyperbole. We'll get, maybe all of us won't. I mean, something could happen, but not that I'm predicting that. But I don't. I think the fan base is going to lose its mind by January.
Why?
I just think these wins are like they're not enough. I think the wins are not enough. I think we're bored. They're just like sitting back going, I don't know, it's not good enough.
Well, I guess, am I allowed to be of two minds about that?
Of course.
Like, I think this is probably most people, and we'll see if it's the angel or the devil that wins out, right? Like, this goes back a few years now, where, yeah, you want to see them blow out the likes of the Saints, and you might think they should, I mean, it was 15.5 points, but they win by 12. Instead. And it's not like it was closer than that. I mean, it was a close game. It was a good game. I don't know. I think, win's a win. Kind of like you're talking about the season largely. And You still have Allen. You have some injury stuff, but you don't have the likes of maybe what Baltimore's facing, or who knows whatever else around the league, Carolina, like just teams that might seem like they're already undone. And so this isn't that. So, Suns out, 4-0, division looks easy. Maybe not New England. We'll talk about them all week. We'll see. Looks good. I do defensively, it's a good thing, I think, if you want to be optimistic, that they have a few impact players who are out. Because if they had the full complement yesterday or against Miami, Oliver and Milano missed Miami too. You got the suspended guys. We'll see what they look like. You got Hairston. We'll see what he looks like eventually. Maybe there'll be some news on some or all these guys today. But that can make you feel better. It should make you feel better about what it is, because what it is without them does not look good.
No, that's entirely fair. I think I made that point last week, maybe last Friday after the Miami game on Thursday. Like, what's my overall on them? I think they have a chance to actually improve as the season goes on because of the youth some of the youth that is playing, especially on the defensive line right now. That is an area where they will get replenished with Hoyt and Ogunjobi coming back in a couple of weeks with veteran guys. But the rookies, I think, are still going to matter, especially like Walker, who I'm very high on. Sanders flashed a couple times yesterday, but also got just manhandled. That's been really the ride with him so far. So, yeah, I think any criticism of the defense is almost, especially early yesterday, they really did stabilize as the game went on. It was just hard to... The Bills never pulled away, even though the defense sort of stabilized. Like after the half, the rushing defense really buckled down. I think they were getting gashed to the tune of 7 yards a carry or something in the first part of the game, and in the second half of the game, maybe under 4. And it's not like New Orleans was ever so far behind that they had to abandon what they were doing, until really the end when the Bills, got their field goal and, they've got their 12-point margin.
Easy for me to say this, but generally speaking, I don't think and relatively speaking, I don't think the Saints are a team where you have to overcompensate against the pass and be more vulnerable against the run. Like this should have been job one in this game.
Yeah, that's why it's so alarming that it was as bad as it was.
They're 31st in the league against the run.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
And that won't change tonight. The 4 teams playing tonight will not, unless somebody just completely blows up Breece Hall or something. Yeah. They're probably going to still be second. Yards allowed. They're number 1 against the pass. And, Lamar Jackson's pretty good. Tua's had his moments. They're not just playing the Spencer Rattlers of the world.
They might still, yesterday would have to qualify as, I don't know, not a game, like you said, that I should be worried about taking away the pass, but we have prioritized that, I think.
Properly.
Yeah, because the Bills have properly prioritized it. They haven't been that worried about getting run on. But if it's the only thing you think a team can hurt you with, then, I'd like that to be better. And it's, it's not to me, I don't necessarily see them, I see them making mistakes that aren't necessarily like brought on by their opponent. They're filling wrong, they're getting on the wrong side of guys.
Tackles. And
missing tackles when they have opportunities. And, the one touchdown run yesterday, there's a fill in the hole, and I don't know if who it was, if it was Rapp or a linebacker, but somebody misses badly. Like that, he's squared up, he's got him, and he just misses it. And then Trey White barely makes an effort to get off the block he's on. To me, that play looked like he wanted no part of that. That dude running at him, honestly. But there's a lot of blown fundamental things that are happening, which, again, maybe that's a function of a lot of the youth that they've got on the field. But, I was listening to Chris and Steve on the way in, like I often do today. Or on most days I do, but today I was listening again, and they were talking about how Bosa was out of position a number of times early on in the game. And that's not inexperience. It's a new guy in your offense, I guess, or in your defense, but, that's a 10-year veteran. So it's not like he should be someone that is hurting you from a fundamentals standpoint, and yet he has at times. He's flashed enough as a pass rusher to still feel good about him, but there have been some glaring mistakes.
Yet
they're 4-0.
4-0,
Right.
31 points again. Like, what can you say? It's interesting to hear how people want to attack this. Like, is it just going to be a cakewalk all the way? I mean, at least until the playoffs? Maybe. Like, there are these issues, but they never lose in turnovers. I mean, I'm thinking about it all the time watching these games. All right, is that +1? Is that -1? Like, are they at risk of is the streak in peril? Any of that? And how about how it's going around them? I mean, Baltimore is down pretty bad. It's Baltimore, Kansas City, and all right, well, somebody's got to lose, or it could have been a tie. Somebody's got to lose, and I don't know, like, they're probably still both really good. The Ravens, though, Jackson's hurt, and defensively they're in shambles.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys out.
And they're a sieve, too. Like, it's just,
yeah,
they're holding up better than, or worse than this team is.
That game going the way it went maybe was one of the most stunning things that's happened in the league so far this year, I would say. That it was just so easy, it looked like, for Kansas City to do what they wanted. And that Baltimore simply could not punch with them offensively. I mean, they just could not keep up. You were saying, I think this was on the air, we don't talk off the air on a Sunday when I'm working at home and you're in here, that Jackson didn't look right. And, then suddenly there it is, like, in the second half of the game, he comes out with a hamstring injury. Maybe that was bothering him all along, and it just never missed any practice time, so there was never any injury report or anything. But he didn't look like himself, I don't think, to either of us watching the early part of that game.
Well, I thought it was true last week.
Okay.
Too.
See, I didn't notice it last week.
I mean, Detroit sacked him 7 times.
Oh, that's right.
Why? How? Was it even possible? I mean, even in the opener, when he took off against the Bills, he looked like Lamar. I mean, he looked like he looks. He's I don't know the whole story. Like, he's changed. I don't know if this happened this year, but he's messed around with his weight over the years. Like, one year he put on weight, then he took off weight, and he's trying to find the right balance. I don't know. Very strange. You never really saw him get hurt yesterday, but then the body language is terrible. He gets to the sideline. He throws his helmet. Got Derrick Henry throwing his helmet one week. Jackson's throwing his helmet the next. He never got up. Like, nobody talked to him. He just sat there, and, like, then he was done. And John Harbaugh today said he was not going back in. Like, the injury was the reason he was not going back in, but just did not look like it looks.
No, right.
When it comes to that stuff. So, very strange. Now they have Houston, and he might miss. The thing about the Ravens is, and I was listening to Sam and Joe this morning point this out. So you've got the Bengals, who played tonight, and they and the Steelers were sort of like the second choice in that division. And the Steelers looked pretty good, I would say, in their win. So you've got Pittsburgh at 3-1 and looking like Pittsburgh. I tweeted yesterday, this is just another one of these Steeler games where they're going to win, and we're going to talk all week about how stupid they are. But who's stupid, maybe, because they just win these games.
They get away with it.
Right. And we'll see if the Bengals can put up a fight in Denver. The Ravens are -500 to make the playoffs.
Still, wow.
Right now.
Even at 1-3 with all these injuries. That really says a lot about what people think of the other teams in that division.
And -200 to win it.
The division.
Yes.
Is Pittsburgh ahead of them now?
No, they're the favorite.
They're the favorite at -200.
Pretty solid favorite.
Wow.
-200. $20 to win 10 on Baltimore to finish first. I mean, no thank you, but the market still seems to think that it's a pretty close to a sure thing.
Enough time for them to get right.
Yeah, and there is.
Yeah, but they need to be healthy in order for that to happen, I think. Right? I mean,
they need to be healthy, and I'll say again, off the Lions game on Monday night, what is Derrick Henry right now? And now you have what is Jackson right now? You had that Monday night too, I guess, but like Henry had a great game here and nothing since. The game here ended in the fumble. I'm not sure he took another snap after that. And nothing since. Like, there's just no efficiency from their running game, which is weird. Like, that's new with him and them.
On the other side, Kansas City showed up yesterday. I mean, that again, Baltimore's ravaged by injury, and maybe they were, an easier mark than we would have expected. But Xavier Worthy led them in rushing, which isn't probably what you really want, but led them in rushing and receiving. First game back after suffering an injury that I thought would last longer than this. Even
he led them in rushing on, I think, 2 carries.
Right, he had one big one for like 30-some yards, and then something else, and So it wasn't like, he wasn't getting the ball. He's not a running back. I hope most of us are aware of that.
Sam was right about that. He thought Worthy would make a huge difference there, and right away, and he did. I think he did. Well, one thing that we were in the middle of a conversation on postgame yesterday when Sean McDermott walked in, and when he goes, the mandate is we go to him. So we just if somebody's on the phone, we dump it. We're talking, we stop talking. It's McDermott. Whenever we have him, we go to it live. And a caller was talking about the tush push, like the Bills. I think like the Bills weren't. Why aren't they? They had a sequence yesterday, 2nd and short through 4th and short, and didn't run Allen. The 4th down play as a pass, that little pop pass to Shakir. You said how it was
close to working, but it did not work. Yeah.
And what I was prepared to say, I slipped in a line because we were just talking about how I just brought up how last year, or even the year before, I think it was last year though, Brandon Beane had a comment that stuck with me early in the offseason about Josh Allen and rushing, and if it's week 2, maybe we make a different choice. And I know yesterday was week 4, but I referred to it because we had just referred to it yesterday on the show. Like, why aren't they doing more like Allen running? Maybe because it's week 2 every week. The year where Dorsey got fired, they didn't want. Maybe that was the year they didn't want to run him, and then they were 6-6, and all right, well,
it was time to go.
Now we have to win every game,
right?
So they did much more of it. So I think we talk about with this schedule, are the Bills holding stuff back? I don't know if they're holding stuff back. They might be. I think every team, to a point, might be holding stuff back. That you sort of have a long-term game plan for your season, and as you hit turbulence, you might end up sort of, just like the Allen point from 2 years ago, all right, we got to go. So I think teams can do that, and this would be a classic team for that because of all of it, how much they've won, what the division looks like, the lead they have now, all of it, and who you're playing.
Right.
I don't know if they're doing that. I do think, though, they're dabbling with different players and different situations. We've seen that a few times this year where, even in terms of who was active yesterday, right? I mean, look at Samuel.
Samuel up, and did he not catch the first pass of the game, maybe even? It was very early they went to him anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the first reception of the game.
I think you're right.
I'd be exaggerating that. But either way, that was notable. Yeah, I wonder. I would understand. Halfway through the Chiefs' playoff loss last year in the AFC title game, I remember thinking, because they got stopped one time, and I thought, man, I wonder if they're going to go away from this because they're shook. And they stayed with it, and ultimately, I know we can argue about whether he had that last first down or not, but, they got stopped enough that they didn't get a first down on it. And is that something they're just shying away from in general, or are they waiting because maybe they used it so much last year that Kansas City found an antidote, right? It's their version of it had been up to that point just about as unstoppable looking as Philadelphia's had been, but Philadelphia's still going, and the Bills sort of hit a wall in January in Kansas City in the title game last year. And I wonder if they're just sort of don't want it to be as frequent this year so that if they really need it in a big spot, they'll know we can go to it, and maybe teams won't be as studied up on it, which kind of would surprise me because these people have brains too. Anybody they're playing in January could be thinking the same thing. I haven't seen the tush push on tape much this year. Whatever. Get ready for it. Let's go to school on what KC did to them last year. I wonder if they're waiting to unveil something different. Instead of, even just subtly changing it. Didn't the Eagles get some credit yesterday for doing something a little different on it?
They basically ran a fake The Barkley touchdown is basically a fake tush-push play.
Okay.
It might have even been fourth down, but it looks like you know what's coming. Maybe the announcer even would have said it, and it wasn't what was coming.
Right.
They pitched it out to him, and he walked in. So he's something different. You mean like maybe like going right?
Going a different way instead of going continuously to the left.
Yeah. I mean, I want to give them some benefit of the doubt here, whether that's even a good example or a correct example or not. I think there is some of this happening with them. You know, Bishop playing the whole game against the Jets when everybody else came out. Let's just, we're way ahead. Let's use this and focus on him, give him more reps, all that kind of stuff. Samuel for Codrington. They know the point spread, right? Like, is that going to be something? It's a veteran, too. Like, it's somebody that,
right.
In that example, you probably feel like you can trust. Maybe you just don't necessarily think he's your best option, but, here, let's do it. So I think there's some of that going on. Might not be the kind of thing they admit, because all this is always predicated on, your best guys at all times. Everybody's doing their absolute best at everything always.
No team is ever going to tell you they're holding stuff back.
Because they played New Orleans.
Yeah, right. They're just never, ever, ever going to admit that. If indeed it is even right. I mean, we're just supposing here. Anyways, but...
And they do rotate on the defensive line, all the time. But, here is a season so far where you have rookies, right? And you have the luxury, I would say. Of course, now you're getting run on like crazy, and Oliver's hurt, and it might not be the luxury you want it to be. And this game was losable. I mean, New Orleans is down 21-19 in the fourth quarter before the Kincaid play. They kicked the field goal after the overturned touchdown Cooks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the short drive to the Kincaid touchdown, and that's pretty much the ball game there. Football Monday on WGR. Let's go to Kyle here. Hi, Kyle.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Good. Thank you for calling.
Hey, first of all, what a day! I was there yesterday with my son for his first game, and it was beautiful. I mean, the game not necessarily, but beautiful day. So
sure.
A couple quick thoughts. You guys have already hit on a bunch of them, but I'll just rattle them off. We seem to have a problem with running quarterbacks, defending those. It does seem like Josh is turning down open 10-yard runs, and I think he's being coached to do that. There was a couple yesterday where he had the first down clearly, and instead he threw a contested ball to Knox, I think twice. One to Kincaid, one to Knox, where we're looking at that and that didn't have a chance. But then, so there was some positive notes, because I do think I am a silver lining guy on this, and I do think we're getting a ton of good reps for some inexperienced players. Jackson Hawes is blocking people down the field 20 yards every other play.
Yeah.
You guys talk about it every week, and obviously I watch it from TV, but to see it in person, I mean, that dude is a man among boys. And I turned to my buddy one time, I go, did you see, it was a good play by, I'm not sure who it was, I think maybe it was Cook, but instead I'm just watching 85 blocking a dude 20 yards down, and he was mean about it too. So I think we found something there. And then just two more real quick is I think Bishop is ascending a little bit, and it's not just a pick. I was just watching him a lot, and he seemed to be in better spots. So I hope my eyes aren't lying to me there. And I do really feel like Deion Walker is, he just continues to make plays. I think maybe 3 or 4 times yesterday.
Yeah.
That was Walker again.
Yeah.
And
He is the stud. He is the stud of this draft class. I mean, it's tough. Hairston hasn't had a chance yet because he's been hurt. We don't know when he's coming back. But he's outplaying, and I don't think it's even particularly close, the second-round pick Sanders. Sanders did flash a couple times yesterday. It was a really good rep on a pass play where he got very quick pressure that led to a sack. So it's not like he's not doing anything, but Walker. And there are still misses there, but I feel like there's just more hits. And, to what Mike said very early in this conversation about getting guys back, Walker and Oliver together. If Walker can handle the Daquan Jones role, that, I think by, again, assuming good health for everyone, and Daquan Jones, I think, had a decent day yesterday overall. But I think Walker and Oliver are your two guys there in the middle, and they have not had a chance to really do anything together yet, and I'm eager to see that. I wonder if the Bills are.
Thanks, Kyle. We'll talk some more after a break. Eric Wood at 4 today. Sal Capaccio will join us shortly thereafter. Fill us in on what news we might get in terms of IR and roster changes. Bills have lost their punter, it would seem, for some period of time. So we'll check in on Sal with Sal, and maybe on Sal.
I was with Sal on Saturday, assuming nothing happened yesterday to him. Although
he's sufficiently checked in on.
I feel like I'm confident he's going to be okay.
Good. Eric and Sal next hour. Perhaps you next. 803-0550 to call in. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Your family, our listeners, our colleagues. Are you worried for the whole scene?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I don't. I don't know how we're going to make it to January here. I'm afraid we're not going to make. I mean that's obviously hyperbole. We'll get maybe all of us won't. I mean something could happen, but not that I'm predicting that. But I don't. I think the fan base is going to lose its mind by January.
Why?
I just think these wins are they're not enough. I think the wins are not enough. I think we're bored. They're just sitting back going, I don't know, it's not good enough.
Well, I guess, am I allowed to be of two minds about that?
Of course.
I think this is probably most people, and we'll see if it's the angel or the devil that wins out, right? This goes back a few years now, where, you want to see them blow out the likes of the Saints, and you might think they should. It was 15.5 points, but they win by 12. Instead. And it's not like it was closer than that. It was a close game. It was a good game. I don't know. I think, win's a win. Kind of like you're talking about the season largely, and you still have Allen. You have some injury stuff, but you don't have the likes of maybe what Baltimore's facing, or who knows whatever else around the league, Carolina, just teams that might seem like they're already undone. And so this isn't that. So, sun's out. 4-0, division looks easy. Maybe not New England. We'll talk about them all week. We'll see. Looks good. I do defensively. It's a good thing, I think, if you want to be optimistic, that they have a few impact players who are out. Because if they had the full complement yesterday or against Miami, Oliver and Milano missed Miami too. You got the suspended guys. We'll see what they look like. We got Hairston. We'll see what he looks like eventually. Maybe there'll be some news on some or all these guys today. But that can make you feel better. It should make you feel better about what it is, because what it is without them does not look good.
No, that's entirely fair. I think I made that point last week, maybe last Friday after the Miami game on Thursday. What's my overall on them? I think they have a chance to actually improve as the season goes on because of the youth some of the youth that is playing, especially on the defensive line right now. That is an area where they will get replenished with Hoyt and Ogunjobi coming back in a couple of weeks with veteran guys. But the rookies, I think, are still going to matter, especially Walker, who I'm very high on. Sanders flashed a couple times yesterday, but also got just manhandled. That's been really the ride with him so far. So, I think any criticism of the defense is almost, especially early yesterday, they really did stabilize as the game went on. It was just hard to... The Bills never pulled away, even though the defense sort of stabilized. After the half, the rushing defense really buckled down. I think they were getting gashed to the tune of 7 yards a carry or something in the first part of the game, and in the second half of the game, maybe under 4. And it's not like New Orleans was ever so far behind that they had to abandon what they were doing, until really the end when the Bills, got their field goal and, they've got their 12-point margin.
Easy for me to say this, but generally speaking, I don't think and relatively speaking, I don't think the Saints are a team where you have to overcompensate against the pass and be more vulnerable against the run. It should have been job one in this game.
Yeah, that's why it's so alarming that it was as bad as it was.
They're 31st in the league against the run.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
And that won't change tonight. The 4 teams playing tonight will not, unless somebody just completely blows up, Breece Hall or something. They're probably going to still be second. Yards allowed. They're number 1 against the pass. And, Lamar Jackson's pretty good. Tua's had his moments. They're not just playing the Spencer Rattlers of the world.
Still, yesterday would have to qualify as, I don't know, not a game, like you said, that I should be worried about taking away the pass, but we have prioritized that, I think.
Properly.
Yeah, because the Bills have properly prioritized it. They haven't been that worried about getting run on. But if it's the only thing you think a team can hurt you with, then, I'd like that to be better. And it's, it's not to me, I don't necessarily see them, I see them making mistakes that aren't necessarily like brought on by their opponent. They're feeling wrong. They're getting on the wrong side of guys.
Tackles.
And missing tackles when they have opportunities. And, the one touchdown run yesterday, there's a fill in the hole, and I don't know who it was, if it was Rapp or a linebacker, but somebody misses badly. Like that, he's squared up, he's got him, and he just misses it. And then Trey White barely makes an effort to get off the block he's on. To me, that play looked like he wanted no part of that. That dude running at him, honestly. But there's a lot of blown fundamental things that are happening, which, again, maybe that's a function of a lot of the youth that they've got on the field. But, I was listening to Chris and Steve on the way in, like I often do today. Or on most days I do, but today I was listening again, and they were talking about how Bosa was out of position a number of times early on in the game. And that's not inexperience. It's a new guy in your offense, I guess.
Getting the ball after half, they're down there inside of whatever it was 2-3 minutes to play, maybe less. They score before half potentially. They come out with the ball after half, and now you're talking about a potentially 14-point situation there. So big time play, and it was they ran a gadget there, and Colt did a great job sniffing it out.
Bulldog and I have different feelings about that play.
I think it was incredible, and I think you're annoying.
I was good. Who said you could go first? Well, I agree with half that.
So you admit that you're annoying?
Yes. Yes. I think it was just that sequence was idiotic from the Saints. And when you're doing stuff like that, you deserve to, a good team should take advantage of it. It's a fine play by Bishop. I'm not saying it wasn't. But 1:36 in the half, second and goal at the 5. Bills are out of timeouts. Boy, they threw the timeouts around pretty loosely yesterday.
They were sloppy yesterday.
They're using those 2 timeouts they had left because of the clock, because this is the last series of downs New Orleans can have here, their goal to go. But if I'm the Saints there, I am taking that thing to the bottom, to zeros. Unless I score a touchdown, which is the point of the Philly special, like that's the point of the play. The second down play is also an incomplete pass. And they're kind of gashing the Bills, like it's goal line defense, not as easy. I would have run it twice. And I think worst case, except for a fumble, worst case for the Saints should have been a field goal at the gun, 14-13. And, McDermott and so many of these coaches and announcers are obsessed with who gets the ball to start the second half. I don't care. You're going to get your turn. But because of momentum and feelings, like it's extra good, he thinks, and coaches tend to think that, New Orleans gets the third quarter kickoff. I don't care. But I've got a chance to go into the locker room with the Bills, if not ahead, down 1. The kick's a chip shot, and I'm going to take it. And this play, if they complete it, it's Josh Allen with 1:22. Like, I'm still not going into the locker room with the lead.
That's I think, most valid criticism of the strategy there.
It's the Bills-Chiefs home playoff game. Get that clock all the way as far down as you can. If you can score, great. But underneath passes, runs, that's job 1 there. And I don't think the Saints realize that. And the Bills they executed on that Bishop play.
They really did. That's why I'm giving Bishop. I think it was just a fantastic play by him. To see it, is one thing, and to be fast enough, heady enough, all of it to get there, and then to actually physically make the play too, was just a tremendous effort. I think the play was so close to working. I'm the time thing I totally appreciate, but I need to make sure I get in the end zone there if I'm the Saints. I'm a 16-point underdog. I need 7. I'm not playing for a field goal and trying to drain the clock. I'm gonna go for it, and so I'm gonna act like an underdog there, and I think they did. I guess an underdog that's unafraid, I guess, because a lot of underdogs, we lived through a team that was coached by many men who would just gladly take that field. Fine, I'm close. I'm keeping it close. I'm going to cover the spread. Yay! Let's have a parade. So I had no issue with the play call. I thought it took a tremendous individual effort for it not to work, which is why I'm crediting Bishop so heavily.
All right. Maybe we're both right. Could that be possible?
Probably.
It is a great play. And I'm not settling for a field goal. I'm just going to try to, play calls that will keep the clock running. Right. Let's go to Brett here. Hi, Brett.
Hi, boys. How you doing today?
Great.
Hey, glad to hear it. First of all, happy Victory Monday, even though it was the most stressful 12-point game I can recall watching in recent memory. The question I have for both of you today is I come from a Yankees fandom as well as a Bills fandom, and the Yankees have always been big on we need this piece to ensure a championship, let's go get it. And I've been chewing on that this season. So my question to you is, if you could pull like an LA Rams from the last couple of years, forget these picks, let's go get the piece we need, who are you thinking of getting and why? And let's not consider the salary cap for a little bit because, in my opinion, all of that can get made up.
I don't really have an answer ready. It's always wide receiver for me. It will probably never change this year, no matter how many games they win and points they score. So far, it looks a lot like last year. And hey, wasn't last year good? Yes. They did not have the go-to guy in the end. And you could say, it's very... it's harsh. It's a very specific point, very particular point, but that it was the difference. And so that for me would still be, I think, probably where I'd go here. I don't want to trade for defense. I've spent enough hundreds of millions in free agency money and draft capital on defense. They're young now. They've got guys coming off suspension. I wouldn't even go there. And offensively, I don't know what else they could possibly need, unless you want to compliment Cook. Cook is getting more work.
He is. It really it continues to bear watching.
So find me your favorite receiver. Tyreek Hill. I don't know. It's nuts though, right?
I don't want any part of him, but I would land on receiver. I also would consider a safety to replace Taylor Rapp. If I were really, Bishop, I've been, what are your priors, right? I love the draft pick 2 years ago. I'm optimistic for this player. I love his athletic profile. It's gotten off to a pretty rocky start, but I think it's coming around. He to me is someone I want to be able to count on. I'm not sure that I'm right yet, but I feel like he is going to be the better player of those two. I feel like Rapp is some level of DeMar Hamlin to me. Like he's okay. He's fine in the show's parlance here. Can I do better than that? Is there someone available that is better than that they would trust to know the system? Because, I doubt that any of this happens because they're so big on time on task and working together. And, maybe that is going to come together for them. But I wouldn't rule that position out. I could always use another guy rushing the passer. So if I were getting greedy and someone was on the market that made sense, I wouldn't ignore defense. I would think safety first.
Safety first.
Look at that. And then edge. Another guy that could be a threat because they are one Joey Bosa wrong step away from not having anything near enough in that department, I think. But receiver would be the number one spot to me. If there were I guess someone better than Amari Cooper turned out to be, although I thought they were trading for a number one wide receiver when they made that trade last year, and it just turned out to be nothing, really. But if there's someone that, like, objectively outranks that, I would look that way, because I still think that they are going to have trouble springing guys open downfield to get their downfield passing game off. It has not hurt them at all yet. It barely hurt them last year until, they couldn't get one more first down and keep the drive going against Kansas City. So, it's all sort of, it's hard to find the holes. But that's my answer. Receiver, safety, edge.
That's the thing, and it's been this way other years about them, is they're just too good. Like, they're not in these jackpot games where they need to exploit that, to find that. I guess Baltimore was this, and they did hit some downfield throws there. I mean, Jackson Hawes was one of the receivers on those plays in that game. So they got there. And Shakir is still showing, I mean, why wouldn't he be, the capacity, the ability to, yards after the catch and give them big plays on offense. But I'm talking about a higher level if they're to do anything. This is still another month away, right?
Yes.
So,
yes. Yeah,
things could look very different in a month.
Sure.
Think about the Ravens 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're
the Chiefs 2 weeks ago.
They are. It would be right. Like, I'm over here about edge, and someone maybe riding around in their car screaming at the radio going, Michael Hoyt is coming back. There's your addition. Like, okay.
Okay.
Fine. That might actually be the and look, I don't think they're likely to make this big move the caller is dreaming of anyways. But if you're asking me to put a list together, that's my list. But maybe Hoyt cancels out the need for another edge guy.
It'll be cool to talk about, though. I mean, I'm glad that it's come up here, even though it is a month away, because that's what you do. I don't blame them for making that Cooper trade. Cost them a third. They went for it, Other teams were doing the same thing around them.
Yep.
So I don't blame them for that. Didn't work out, really. Like, he didn't have his game left anymore, it seems. He's since retired. Like, that was right, I guess.
Right, he never played again.
Right. He went to the Raiders for 2 days in camp, and then
right.
The Raiders would do that to you, though.
Mm.
But still, like, it's about being aggressive and all of that. Just, it's not an easy team to find a hole for this.
Right. The thing that, circling back to the start, when you asked me to say what I said right before we started, which was we're not going to make it to January, was there was someone on hold that wanted to ask about I think it was a call for the previous show, about bringing back Zach Davidson. And I'm like, short of the offensive line, which as a unit has been together for so many games and is just excellent, the tight end room is one of the stories of this team so far this year, with Jackson Hawes' addition, and Kincaid is scoring touchdowns, and it's just they've got three guys they're putting on the field, and it's a strength of the team. And I got somebody, Zach Davidson. Turns out it was because he thought maybe he could punt for the Bills. So that's what led me to say we're not going to make it to January. But
we didn't even talk to the guy.
No, we didn't. No. But Zach told me what his
sure.
what he was thinking
I called it.
About Zach Davidson.
Punter.
Right.
Somebody's going to have to punt, unless you're the Colts. Yeah. The Colts have started punting a little bit.
Yeah.
It's changed. Although, this can wait.
Yeah, okay. I was just going to say.
I liked them.
Adonai Mitchell cost them 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, they could have been cruising in that game.
Speaking of receivers, we've fawned over in the past. Okay, thanks, Brett. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. Eric Wood at 4. This is WGR.
Or, excuse me, in your defense, but, I mean, that's a 10-year veteran. So it's not like he should be someone that is hurting you from a fundamentals standpoint, and yet he has at times. He's flashed enough as a pass rusher to still feel good about him, but there have been some glaring mistakes.
Yet.
They're 4-0.
4-0,
right?
31 points again. Like, what can you say? It's interesting to hear how people want to attack this. Like, is it just going to be a cakewalk all the way? I mean, at least until the playoffs? Maybe. Like, there are these issues, but they never lose in turnovers. I mean, I'm thinking about it all the time watching these games. All right, is that +1? Is that -1? Like, are they at risk of? Is the streak in peril? Any of that? And how about how it's going around them? I mean, Baltimore is down pretty bad. It's Baltimore, Kansas City, and all right, well, somebody's got to lose, or it could have been a tie. Somebody's got to lose, and I don't know, like they're probably still both really good. The Ravens, though, Jackson's hurt, and defensively they're in shambles.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys out.
And they're a sieve, too. Like, it's just, they're holding up better than, or worse than this team is.
That game going the way it went maybe was one of the most stunning things that's happened in the league so far this year, I would say. That it was just so easy, it looked like, for Kansas City to do what they wanted. And that Baltimore simply could not punch with them offensively. I mean, they just could not keep up. You were saying, I think this was on the air, we don't talk off the air on a Sunday when I'm working at home and you're in here, but Jackson didn't look right. And, then suddenly there it is, like, in the second half of the game, he comes out with a hamstring injury. Maybe that was bothering him all along, and it just never missed any practice time, so there was never any injury report or anything. But he didn't look like himself, I don't think, to either of us watching the early part of that game.
Well, I thought it was true last week.
Okay.
Too.
See, I didn't notice it last week.
I mean, Detroit sacked him 7 times.
Oh, that's right.
Why? How? How was it even possible? I mean, even in the opener, when he took off against the Bills, he looked like Lamar. I mean, he looked like he looks. He's I don't know the whole story. Like he's changed. I don't know if this happened this year, but he's messed around with his weight over the years. Like one year he put on weight, then he took off weight, and he's trying to find the right balance. I don't know. Very strange. You never really saw him get hurt yesterday, but then the body language is terrible. He gets to the sideline. He throws his helmet. Got Derrick Henry throwing his helmet one week. Jackson throwing his helmet the next. He never got up. Like nobody talked to him. He just sat there and then he was done. And John Harbaugh today said he was not going back in. Like the injury was the reason he was not going back in, but just did not look like it looks.
No, right.
When it comes to that stuff. So very strange. Now they have Houston, and he might miss. The thing about the Ravens is, and I was listening to Sam and Joe this morning point this out. So you've got the Bengals who play tonight, and they and the Steelers were sort of like the second choice about in that division. And the Steelers look pretty good, I would say, in their win. So you've got Pittsburgh at 3-1 and looking like Pittsburgh. I tweeted yesterday, this is just another one of these Steeler games where they're going to win, and we're going to talk all week about how stupid they are. But who's stupid, maybe, because they just win these games.
They get away with it. Right.
And we'll see if the Bengals can put up a fight in Denver. The Ravens are -500 to make the playoffs.
Still, wow.
Right now.
Even at 1-3 with all these injuries. That really says a lot about what
and
people think of the other teams in that division.
And -200 to win it.
The division.
Yes.
Is Pittsburgh ahead of them now?
No, they're the favorite.
They're the favorite at -200.
Pretty solid favorite.
Wow.
-200. $20 to win 10 on Baltimore to finish first. I mean, no thank you, but the market still seems to think that it's a pretty it's close to a sure thing.
Enough time for them to get right.
Yeah, and there is.
Yeah, but they need to be healthy in order for that to happen, I think. Right? I mean,
they need to be healthy, and I'll say again, off the Lions game on Monday night, what is Derrick Henry right now? And now you have what is Jackson right now. You had that Monday night too, I guess, but Henry had a great game here and nothing since. The game here ended in the fumble. I'm not sure he took another snap after that. And nothing since. There's just no efficiency from their running game, which is weird. That's new with him and them.
On the other side, Kansas City showed up yesterday. I mean, that again, Baltimore's ravaged by injury, and maybe they were, an easier mark than we would have expected. But, Xavier Worthy led them in rushing, which isn't probably what you really want, but led them in rushing and receiving. First game back after suffering an injury that, I thought would last longer than this even.
He led them in rushing on, I think, 2 carries.
Right. He had one big one for 30-some yards and then something else, and yeah. So it wasn't he wasn't getting the ball. He's not a running back. I hope most of us are aware of that.
Sam was right about that. He thought Worthy would make a huge difference there and right away, and he did. I think he did. Football Monday continues on WGR. Eric Wood and Sal Capaccio next hour. Eric coming up just after 4. Sean McDermott is scheduled to speak at 4 as well, and we'll see what we learn about some of the roster stuff that might be swirling this week. Guys coming back from suspension, at least to practice. There's no particular drama there, I guess.
No gymnastics there for a couple of weeks.
Tyler Bass, though.
Tyler Bass, they might have to do something about punter. We'll see what the story is.
Hairston.
Hairston.
Who's ready to return. Because those are guys where they have to designate them to return, and then they get 3 weeks before they need to put them on the field.
Right, and if they don't put them back on the field after those 3 weeks, then they're back to IR, and that's it for the year.
Right.
So there's no deadline to do that. So they don't have to do that now that it's 4 weeks through the season. They don't have to do that with Hairston or Bass, but they can. The window is open now.
Here's CJ next. Hello.
Hello, gentlemen. I heard a lot of calls this morning, kind of complaints, and I don't really agree with it, I guess, so to speak. I'm more of a fan that looks at the Chiefs season from last year and saw that they won a lot of games that was under a touchdown. And to go to the previous caller's comment on who we bring in, I wouldn't bring anybody in. I would leave it as, let's see how it looks when Ogunjobi Hoyt comes back on top of Ed Oliver and Matt Milano, and see how they all look together. Because even with Bosa not producing like Von Miller did when he first got here, he obviously makes a big change for the way Ed Oliver plays. The attention that goes to Bosa gives Oliver an opening to do what he did in the Ravens game, so to speak. So I'd like to see more of that, but with the schedule being so weak, why panic? Everything for the weekend happened great for us. The Chargers lost. We won. It looks pretty good. The Ravens took another loss. I hope Lamar is okay in the future, but with his injury, who knows? The Ravens scared me more than the Chiefs. I know in the playoffs we kind of lose to the Chiefs a lot, but that comes down to coaching. That's something you can't control as far as players. But that's all I got, guys.
All right. Good point about Kansas City. They were not impressive last year, really, offensively, and they went 15-1 to the final game that they were able to throw. And then they got a bye and had home field and got the Texans, and then they were suddenly, after all that, one win over the Bills away from another Super Bowl appearance, and they got it. You knew all this already.
Right. Just that's why. I mean, look, I work here. I know how it works. Like we're gonna pick at the things that don't look like they're up to snuff for like a good team. You're trying not just to have a good season. You're trying not just to be the 1 seed. You're trying to beat Detroit or the Eagles or whomever ends up standing on the other side. And you're going to probably have to have some stuff that's, your run defense is going to have to be better than it's been so far. You're going to want to do, more than just live off turnovers and winning the turnover battle all the time. So, but the main objective here is get that 1 seed, right? However you get it, and hopefully be ready to have your best days on 3 days in January and February. Like, that's what you need to do. Be peaking then. I'm not worried about them peaking right now. In fact, I might, if they were winning easily here, we might be, it's too easy. Like, there would be that. There's always going to be something, which is why I said at 3:02, we're not going to make it to January. Because this is how we're just going to start eating ourselves. We don't know what else to do.
At least it'll be here sooner than you think, though. I mean, I'm already, last night, ads for the Winter Olympics. They already got Snoop out there dancing in like a big coat.
And that's after the Super Bowl, isn't it?
That's even after the Super Bowl. Right. That's right. They're already advertising that.
Right.
So it's not going to be too far. It's not too far away. I'm not here to rush anybody. It's 80 degrees out again. We don't need it to become, winter.
I definitely agree with that.
Enjoy the ride, right? That's the point.
Yeah.
If you can. Try to. You should be able to. Imagine listening to any Bills fan complain right now, if you're a fan of a different team. almost any team. Just shut up, right? I mean, I'm not telling you that. I'm saying I think fans might not do well hearing Bills fans complain about whatever it is. Like, they would trade with you, I think. Probably. Most teams would trade places with you.
I think that's absolutely correct, yeah.
Eric Wood coming up at 4. His benefit is tonight, by the way.
Right, flights and bites.
So we'll talk to Eric about that and yesterday's game and the Patriots a little bit. They had a great day, New England, blowing out Carolina. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. It is Football Monday on WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day, I'm right. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. To all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster.
The Buffalo Bills are on to Week 5, and one of just two teams who are still undefeated in the NFL, the other being the Philadelphia Eagles. And next up for the Bills, it is Sunday Night Football when they host the New England Patriots. The Bills may have to get a new punter. Ian Rappaport is reporting that punter Cameron Johnson is expected to miss some time after suffering a lower body injury, and then something to keep an eye on starting this week. Players such as rookie corner Max Harrison and kicker Tyler Bass can start to return to practice and begin the process of coming off of IR. We'll get more information heading into this week as Bills head coach Sean McDermott is expected to meet with the media in the next few minutes. Week 4, though, is going to wrap up tonight with a Monday night doubleheader. 7:15, Dolphins host the New York Jets. Miami is going to be in their rivalry jerseys. And the Jets, they're going to be without linebacker Jermaine Johnson and defensive back Jarvis Brownlee, while Miami, they are down a few corners, Storm Duck and Jason Marshall Jr. That game can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. Then at 8:15, Bengals. They're in Denver versus the Broncos. Just wide receiver Marvin Mims is questionable for the Broncos, while the Bengals, they're going to be without edge rusher Shamar Stewart and tight end, Noah Fant. The Giants officially have wide receiver Malik Neighbors having torn his ACL. He is going to be out this season. And then the Ravens, the injuries continue to mount. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey out at least a few weeks with a calf injury. Linebacker Roquan Smith out a few weeks as well. A hamstring. Defensive tackle Nnamdi Matabuka is out for the season with a neck injury. And then quarterback Lamar Jackson may be out this week as he deals with a hamstring. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Schedule flex.
What's this?
Not a major thing. Not a major thing, but schedule flex. They're all major. There's no small schedule flex. Week 6. They're taking New England at New Orleans, which for some reason was a 4:25 game, moving it to 1, and replacing it with San Francisco at Tampa, which now becomes a 4:25 game. Much better.
I support this choice.
Me too.
Yes.
The Bills are off that day with the Monday night game, so this could affect us. Our plans. It's time to
yes.
You can't get too far ahead of it. Joining us now on the West Shore Hotline is Eric Wood, who is still in town tonight. Is Eric's charity event, and so I'm wondering if that enabled you to watch more football after the Bills game yesterday. But you also probably watch games on the plane or when you get home. I don't know.
Yeah, if I'm traveling, I'm always watching the games, and obviously that game at 4:25, a big one with Kansas City and Baltimore, and then tuned in for the late game last night as well.
You make it to the end? 40-40?
I didn't. I went to bed, and I couldn't believe that it ended up a tie.
Yeah, same here. I could not. 30-27 maybe I conked out, if that even was a score. Whatever. It was fourth quarter. I'm like, I'm out. And then I don't know, 5 in the morning I woke up and looked to see like what happened. I'm like, I barely awake, squinting at my iPad. 40-40? What?
I don't know what's wrong with me, but I got up super early yesterday. My wife was traveling. My son had lacrosse practice at 8, and I had to get him there. So, I mean, not before dawn, but early for me. And yet, at the end of that game, 5 quarters, well, it's 10 minutes, but still the end of overtime, I was so mad it was over. I mean,
You probably had big fantasy football implications on it.
I mean, good and bad. Good. I don't have a lot of Jacobs, actually, but yes, I was so enjoying
the amount of action you've got going. It's almost unavoidable that there will be good and bad.
That's right.
With 150 teams, you're watching every game and not likely knowing who to even root for.
It's about double that. But you're right. I mean, the point has been made. We're rooting against Waddle tonight as it happens. Okay. Before we get away from it, tell us about what you've got tonight. It's been several years now for this event, and is there still time for people to get to it, or what?
No, it's sold out. So tonight we have our annual Flights and Bites, which I say sold out. Would love for people to support and come in the future, but the popularity of it has grown over the years, and it's always a great time raising money for Oshad Children's Hospital. It used to be the Eric Wood Foundation. I renamed it the Evan Wood Fund under Oshad Children's Hospital, named after my brother Evan, who passed away when he was 11. He was born with severe cerebral palsy. So we give back to families that have children at Oshad and try to provide them incredible experiences like going to Bill's game in a suite, providing financial assistance, and then other types of events throughout the year.
Wonderful.
Excellent. And this is at, not that it matters, but we should promote it because they're hosting your event. It's at Resurgence, correct?
It is. Yeah, we'll give Resurgence a plug. I almost didn't plug it in case, you could get some walk-ups but no, give Resurgence a shout-out. They're extremely generous with letting us have our event there. Had an incredible meal today with a bunch of out-of-town guests that support at Sunny Reds here in town, and it's been a good day.
All right, excellent. And this is not that this is the reason people need to come to the event or that tickets are sold out, but it's the one night a year that Sal Capaccio gets to play the drums, usually.
Sal plays the drums. A younger, maybe less mature Josh Allen is sang with the band. I generally always sing with the band. It's a fun night, and anytime you can have a bunch of fun, connect with incredible people, and then raise a bunch of money for a great cause, that's pretty much an ideal night for me at this stage of life.
Awesome.
Very cool. So yesterday, some fans will say that maybe the Bills look past New Orleans. I don't want to have the whole trap game conversation because that's all been blown up, and I'm not saying they were looking ahead to New England. Just, such a big favorite, Eric. And I wonder, because I kind of think that just does not happen. You guys are, maybe not everybody on every team, but so disciplined and, setting your routines and whatnot. You know who you're playing. You're prepared for them. But would you ever walk through that tunnel and feel like, this is going to be easy? I mean, I can't imagine it. So what do you say to people who, I'm not sure I'm right, I'm asking. What do you say to fans who might think, well, the Bills probably were just, they took the game lightly?
I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, obviously there's going to be some games that get you up more maybe emotionally than others. Maybe it's a guy that you absolutely hate and you're going against him that day. Maybe it's a AFC championship game for these guys now where emotionally you're almost saying I need to reel it back in and not go over and above to either wear myself out or do something stupid out there. Generally each and every week, I would maybe compare this to, okay, we're eliminated from the playoffs during my career because we were never a 2-touchdown favorite when I was playing for the Bills. So maybe it's a late game of the season. I'm looking at the film during the week. These are NFL guys. They can embarrass me. They could potentially ruin my job if I don't prepare and play to the best of my ability. And so I would assume that most of the players are of that mindset. The coaches are coaching each and every week to put their best foot forward to, Joe Brady doesn't call that 4th and 1 play thinking, I'm going to put this on film so that the Patriots have to prepare for it. And later in the season, we'll just go with the tush push or whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. They're giving their best stuff each and every week. Now, I do think there's times maybe where you're playing with a 2-touchdown league and you keep some stuff in the bag, or defensively, maybe we show them a pressure that maybe is not that sound. This is an old New England thing. If they were ever up 2 scores late in the game, they would put stuff on film defensively that then you have to prepare for, but it's not really part of their game plan. They're just giving you stuff that now it complicates your next week as you prepare for them. So I think more of that happens in game as where you'd say, okay, maybe we don't show them everything. But look, when you only play 17 NFL games, every game matters. Every team has talent. Every team is playing for something. Even if you're eliminated from the playoffs, all the players are playing for their jobs. All the coaches are coaching for their jobs. And so trap games to me are a little bit overblown just in the sense, especially in the NFL, because every team has talent.
Right.
That 4th and 1 play, I don't know what you thought of that choice, but it was so close to working. Like, if Vandermark tripped on Osiris Torrance's leg and stumbled toward the guy he was supposed to wall off, if he doesn't trip, he's there in plenty of time. It's possible that guy still kicks his ass and makes the play anyway, I suppose. But, I think if he gets there upright, like ready to tango, that play might go for a big gain. It's certainly the first down easily.
Yeah, I mean, when you call a play like that on 4th and 1, that's not a, hey, let's get 2 yards type of play. This is on 4th and 1, and oftentimes in 3rd and 1 situations, you have plays like a quarterback sneak or a dive up the middle, which is a let's get this first down, and then you have other plays in the game plan that are chunk plays. The safeties are cheated down. People are selling out to defend, an inside run or a quarterback sneak, and so you have a play that you can really chunk them with, and I think that's what they were doing there. I mean, I heard Adrian Peterson talk about when he had his 2,000-yard rushing season about 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s were his favorite because those are when the big plays can happen because the safeties are so low they can't necessarily take an angle on you if you can break through that second level.
Makes sense. So what else on yesterday for you? Another one of these games where there's not a lot of, big passing volume. It's not really necessary like the week before. Bills have had plenty of these games, but efficiency-wise seems pretty good. We'll get to the defense here, but offensively, anything that you thought was, maybe that you didn't like?
Yeah, I thought they had a great start, and then they hit somewhat of a lull where, either it was field position or penalties or Josh throws a pick or you put yourself behind the chains and then you give up 3 sacks. Obviously this isn't I can't remember the last time the Bills gave up 3 sacks in a game. I don't know this for a fact, but it might have been the game at Baltimore last year where they're playing from behind. But, to me, they've just been so good up front. And to me, you don't have your best stuff. You have bad field position for a majority of the game. The only turnover the defense forces in the game, you get the ball at your own 1-yard line, and they still put up 31 points. And to me, it's amazing that this team, maybe on their not best day, is still putting up over 30 a clip. And then each and every week, I become more impressed with James Cook. I legitimately think he's a top. If you let me choose a running back in the NFL right now, I don't know. I mean, maybe Saquon. I don't know who I'm necessarily taking over him. And, I mean, he is playing phenomenal football week in and week out, and just he takes a lot of pressure off, Josh having to perform each week for them to be able to put up serious numbers. And, while the defense has had its struggles, you've been able to rely on a run game to average over 30 yards a game.
Yeah. Are you worried at all about his usage, Cook? It is up from last year. Like a big part of the conversation around the contract extension that we spent so much time on in the spring and summer here, Eric, was, how much he plays, how much they count on him, and how much they like doling out the backfield duties the way they have been. And really, Davis is a ghost. I mean, Johnson is still in his regular role as the third down guy. Didn't get a lot of volume yesterday, like touching the ball, I mean. But Davis is really, really down. I just wonder about Cook because he's not the biggest, heaviest dude, and I would want to be very mindful of his workload.
Yeah, it's kind of that give and take where, you use them to take pressure off Josh, and that also takes a lot of the risk on Josh potentially getting nicked up throughout the season because you're not running him as much. You're not relying on him to drop back and have these long developing plays down the field and potentially him getting dinged up. But, to me, he does a good job of not taking the big shots. I wouldn't put him on LaShawn McCoy's level where I felt like Shady never took a big hit ever in his career. He just had an incredible knack for getting down when he needed to and then making a guy miss and lowering his shoulder when it was appropriate. And James has got a lot of that in him. But no, I'm with you. I mean, anytime that you're feeding a running back with the volume that they are, there's a risk. The adages about running backs falling off a cliff because of overusage is real for a reason. It happens. But I'm not overly concerned about it right now, I guess, is my main point.
Okay.
You were correct in your comment that the Ravens' loss last year is the last game where Allen was sacked 3 times. Yeah, very good. His career high is, I think, 7. That's hard to believe, but he was sacked 7 times in the playoff win over the Dolphins that day, the Skylar Thompson game. Defensively, Eric, so fans can take, and the Bills themselves can take solace in the players that are missing, including those we haven't seen yet. But, man, if that doesn't help them, I don't know, 31st in the league in rushing yards against. First in passing, 31st in rushing. You've got that balance to talk about here as we have over the years, passing being more important, but still, you don't want to be 31st in anything. Concerned?
There are some concerns, and we came into yesterday's game 32nd, and we gave up another 180-something. So who dropped behind us? Do you know?
I think it's Chicago, but I'll double-check.
Wow. I would have bet against that today. I would have assumed we would have remained 32nd after yesterday. But
Genty lit him up.
There are some concerns. Now, you take in the opponents you faced, and, Baltimore's going to attack on yards on most people. Miami runs the football pretty well. Jets run, the prior week to playing us. The Jets ran all over the Steelers. And so are there some concerns? Yes. I think those young defensive tackles where they've made splash plays at time, they're getting displaced. You have Dorian Williams in for Matt Milano, and I think Dorian Williams plays really well at times. He's not the same quality player as Matt Milano. And then at times you've seen Bosa lose the edge. And I talked on One Bills Live earlier today about how at times you're not that concerned about that because you want Bosa to play free out there and go make plays. And yes, he made the wrong decision going inside on a long run yesterday. But if he never does stuff like that, he's never going to make the splash plays. He's not going to put pressure on the quarterback like we've seen him do throughout his career. And so you have safeties that are learning still to play with each other. There's a lot of excuses you can make for this defense, but the tackling's been poor, and it was poor for the Saints yesterday too. These guys don't play a lot in the preseason. They don't have any padded practices. They don't tackle hardly at all ever at practice and training camp. And we've seen tackling be an issue for this Bills team and throughout the league, since Sean McDermott's been here because of these lack of physical practices that we used to have in the old days. And I was joking with Steve Tasker, I understand you guys were a lot tougher in training camp than us, but it's just gotten so light now that you're seeing tackling issues early in the season. This Bills defense, I don't want to say they're built for finesse, but they are a faster, kind of lighter defense. So I've liked what they've done at times this year, bringing base defense on the field more often.
Yeah.
I've liked some of the packages with Walker and Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver's absent, where you put some more size out there, and get more of a stout inside of that defense. But the rush defense has been a concern for a few years now, and it's remained. Now, teams, and I don't know if it's a give and take either, where if you put up 30 points a game and a team's going to dedicate themselves to the run game, they're likely not going to be able to keep pace with you. And so, yes, it's a concern, but I don't think at this point it's not a concern to where I think it could derail our season.
Right. That's why it's always been smarter, I think, to prioritize. And I feel like I don't think Sean McDermott would tell you straight out they prioritize stopping the pass, but that's certainly how they've played. Over the years, right? I'm even thinking back to the beginning of this run, the home game during COVID against Kansas City, where they just go ahead, run it, whatever, and that the Bills lost. That wasn't like an 8-point game in the fourth quarter. Like the Bills were in that game tactically playing that way. That was their choice because KC at that time was so explosive. I mean, it was everything was popping at that time in the league. So, how about Bishop and the play he makes there, Eric? Have there been signs here? You're watching every game from up high, and I'm sure reviewing it too. Like, are there signs that he's starting to come to the forefront here?
The answer is yes. And, that's a heck of a play, and that's a splash play. So that's what we talked about today. But I think he's making a number of plays a game that I'm getting more confidence in the fact that he could be a big-time safety in this league. And when he was drafted by the Bills, I'm friends with this position coach that he had at Utah, and he gushed about Cole Bishop. You're going to have a 12-year superstar, stud, Harrison Smith type from the Vikings, that type of guy, super athletic, this and that, and, had a rough year. And to me, even just his demeanor and some press conferences and media availability, he just seemed like he didn't have his full confidence in himself. It's just what I was observing, and I feel like he's getting that back, and that comes from making plays on Sunday, seeing yourself on film, making plays consistently, staying healthy like he's been able to do since the training camp time that he missed. And so, to me, I'm starting to see him play a lot more confident out there, and it's been fun to watch. And I mentioned it on the broadcast against the Jets on the Joey Bosa strip sack on the Justin Fields play. Cole Bishop comes down in the box. He's pointing and yelling to A.J. Epinesa on the other side of the field that it's coming over to him. A.J. Epinesa keeps his contain, and then Bosa forces the fumble. Well, Bosa gets credit for the sack and the fumble. We all praise him. Cole Bishop's the guy that's pointing it out before the snap. Your second-year inexperienced safety is pointing that out. So I've seen some more little things like that from him that is continually impressing me.
How do you happen, if I may ask, to be friends with the Utah defensive backs coach? Is there a Louisville connection?
Yeah, he was a coach at Louisville.
Okay. You said you watched at least some of Ravens Chiefs. Really bad day for Baltimore. Just injuries, but Jackson, and then he himself gets hurt. Can you explain it?
It's hard to explain other than the fact that it seems like the Chiefs have their number. Steve Spagnuolo's got each and every year it seems like, whether it's been playoffs or regular, they beat them at the last second last year in the opener of the season in Kansas City, but then it seems like whether it's been playoff times or whatever it may be, defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo's did a great job against that Ravens offense, and the Chiefs had looked like they were on cruise control, that's for sure, and they turned it on yesterday. Patrick Mahomes was getting rid of the ball quicker, I felt like, and allowing guys to make plays in space, and it was an impressive performance by the Chiefs. And I had when we were on our way home from Sunny Reds, I had WGR on, and I just missed it. What did you guys say the playoff odds for the Ravens to make it are?
Today, minus 500.
Right. So 1-3 football team that through 3.5 quarters against the Bills looked like an absolute juggernaut.
Yeah. And I guess the market is saying we still believe.
We still believe in you, yeah, and they're still favored to win the division too. Yeah,
somehow.
Yeah, and you got Cleveland, you have an injured Joe Burrow, which it helps that, I guess.
Well, one more team I think you'll join me in hoping we see great performances from in the very near future is the Cincinnati Reds. In the playoffs against the Dodgers. I have a Reds World Series ticket. This is a tough one to hedge, Bulldog. Like, what am I going to go do? Bet the Dodgers? They're a huge favorite.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
That's no fun.
I will bet on the Reds in Game 1 though against Snell.
I love it. I love it. I'm just bitter, and I understand it. Like, in a 3-game series, it's hard to go across the country, but it irks me that I'm not going to be able to go to a Reds postseason game. But I love Terry Francona after the game. Actually, Johnny Damon's in town, was in town for the Bills game yesterday. He'll be at our event tonight, and I was talking to him about Francona, and he's like, oh, because of Terry Francona, I'm now a Reds fan. Like, I am actively rooting for the Reds. That's how beloved, he was with those Red Sox teams, and still stays in contact with all those guys. And when Francona came in this offseason, and I'm probably boring a whole bunch of people in Buffalo right now, in Western New York, but when Francona came in this offseason, it signaled to me that they didn't get him out of retirement for the Castellinis to just sell off all their young talent like we've seen them do. And I'm excited that, we didn't unload people at the deadline. We didn't make huge moves, but we didn't unload people at the deadline. And hopefully we can build this thing because they got some awesome young talent right now. And we'll see. In a 3-game series, anything can happen. But, yes, the Dodgers are a big-time favorite.
Yeah, well, I was going to call you on your resignation here, not being able to see a Reds playoff game. You mean a wild card round game, because after they beat the Dodgers, they will get home games, so you'll be able to go see them play.
There it is.
You're right. Bulldog, I like that mindset, brother.
Bulldog, are you still a Johnny Damon fan?
No, he went to the Yankees.
What about that team forever? I thought
no,
he broke the code.
He went to the Yankees. Okay. If he hadn't gone to the Yankees, I mean, please don't tell him this, Eric. But yeah. I mean, I loved him on the Red Sox, but you go put on those pinstripes and just get out of here.
He's a great dude. I met him at a Kentucky Derby when I was probably 25 or something, and we've stayed in contact. And he's got some buddies up here in Buffalo as well, in Western New York area. So, really good dude, and I love picking his brains on those old Red Sox stories.
Yep. Awesome.
He was talking at dinner on Saturday night we were talking about after they beat the Yankees to go to the World Series, and they all went in uniform and their spikes to the bar next to the stadium. And one of Johnny's buddies that plays in a band was playing there, and they're all going to go there anyways. And they said, screw it, let's just wear our uniforms and spikes and go right now. And they just went in uniform straight to the bar.
In New York?
Wasn't that – maybe I'm referring to a different series. They left one of their clinching games.
Okay.
There's that bar right outside of Fenway that you can look right.
Yeah, the cask and flag on. Yeah.
Yep, they walked right there and started drinking beers and partying.
Like that. Different if you did it on the road, but yes.
Yes. Right.
Very good, Eric. Enjoy your night. Thanks for today.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
There you go. There's Eric Wood on the Western Hotline, and his appearances here every Monday. Brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com, and by Northtown Kia, Western New York's #1 Kia dealer. Shop at northtownkia.com.
Sean McDermott speaking now, or just was. We'll talk to Sal about some of the news with the IR guys and different things about yesterday after the update. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Football Monday continues on WGR.
Kermit just wrapped up speaking with the media as they get week number 5 underway for them. We'll get to the wrapping up of week 4 here in just a moment. Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, Spencer Brown all appear to be heading in the right direction. All 3 were inactive yesterday. Punter Cameron Johnston is going to miss some time, along with Cam Lewis. Both are dealing with a foot/ankle issue, and then no decisions have been made yet on any of the players who are on IR. That does include, of course, Max Harrison, Tyler Bass, and Tylen Grable. We'll get more on what was said today when Sal Capaccio joins the show next. Now to the wrapping up of Week 4. It's a Monday night doubleheader. 7:15, Dolphins host the New York Jets. Miami's going to be in their rivalry jerseys. The Jets are going to be without linebacker Jermaine Johnson and defensive back Jarvis Brownlee, while Miami, they're going to be without some cornerbacks Storm Duck and Jason Marshall Jr. That game is going to be over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. Then at 8:15, Bengals are in Denver versus the Broncos. Just wide receiver Marvin Mims is questionable for Denver, while the Bengals are going to be without edge rusher Shamar Stewart and tight end Noah Fant. And then the bad injury news continues for the Ravens after their loss yesterday to Kansas City. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey out at least a few weeks with a calf injury. Linebacker Roquan Smith will also be out a few weeks. He's dealing with a hamstring. Lamar Jackson may be out this week with a hamstring injury. And then defensive tackle Nnamdi Matabuka out this season due to a neck injury. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Bills over the Saints yesterday to improve to 4-0, but it wasn't in a walk. Ooh.
Was it more of a crawl?
It was not.
It wasn't really a crawl.
It was not a blowout. But it was okay. Here's Sal Capaccio with us on the Wester Hotline. Sal, what did you think yesterday?
I thought it was a struggle at times for sure. The game was very tight. Got a little too close for comfort, I think, for a lot of people. But at the same time, I think that when you go into these games, you have to understand it's the old adage, but it's true that, these are NFL teams and players. They get paid, and, you can't just expect to go into a game and, it's not like your local Friday night high school game where it's a, big school population against a real small school. That's not the way it works in the NFL. So all it takes is a few plays here or there, and you get the kind of game they had yesterday. And then at the end of the day, the Bills did enough to win. And I think actually, looking back on it and reading the box score, I thought the numbers were a lot better than what it seemed when you were watching the game, actually.
Yeah, there's always a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a thought experiment watching a game and how tense you are. Like, I realize I'm tense. I'm like, they're not behind. They've never been. Like, what am I doing here? Why am I wound up? Of course they're going to win this game. Just cut it out. But it's not as easy as you'd like. I'd like to hear you talk about your vantage point. I love asking you this. I hope you're prepared for it today, because often when was a real special play in a game, I like to where were you for that? The Cole Bishop interception. I might guess you were very close to where that play happened.
Yeah, where I stand right there at the pylon. Yep. So, he caught it right in front of me. He intercepted right in front of me. And when the play first started, I saw I'm looking in the backfield. I see that it's kind of like an end around. And then I saw the other player coming, and I'm like, oh, they're going to give it him. And then I see Spencer Rattler basically running right at me. Spencer Rattler's coming right at me the way he's running that route. So I'm seeing that. So I'm not even looking to my right at that point, which would be where Cole Bishop was. Ball is in the air. I knew Spencer Rattler was there. And as I turned, I just saw Cole Bishop just kind of fly out of nowhere right in front of everybody here and just go up and get it. And it was one of those moments where everybody around me, you kind of had wow, I can't believe he's there, right? That collective moment there, because I don't know if people were seeing him. You can tell when an interception is going to happen if it's just like, oh, this is going to be close and, who's going to get it. But he just jumped out of nowhere, and, it was right in front of me. What I was impressed with in the moment was that he held onto the ball getting up that high with one hand initially, right? Like, that was the first thing. and then you realize he came down in bounds, and then he got up and ran, which was interesting. I'm watching his feet. He's staying in bounds. Then later, going back and watching it, that's when you get impressed with, oh, he came from that spot and read it. Like,
right.
I mean, that's crazy. The athletic play to me was what really stood out, to start it. But when he flashed in front of me, I think me and everybody kind of around that area kind of didn't really see that because we were all kind of focused on what the Saints were trying to do there.
You say that the numbers made the game feel better for you. A couple areas where I know you wouldn't say that would be 11 penalties and the 189 rushing yards allowed. The Bills are now 1 yard off the league lead for most rushing yards allowed through 4 weeks, just behind Chicago. Can you rest easy about that, given the guys who are missing, or not?
No, I think it's got to improve, no doubt. I'm not going to sugarcoat that part of it, but I'll say that I do think guys missing is a part of it. I also think it's just kind of how the Bills are built a little bit, right? We've talked about this. They kind of make teams grind a little bit, and they're going to grind, and they're going to make you work a little bit for what you get, and then suddenly they come up with a big play. It's not that they want the teams, they don't want teams to run for 180 yards against them. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that, you look at the numbers in the pass game. They just really locked down in the passing game. And, okay, so you're not going to do that now. To me, playing a team like the Saints yesterday, they have less of a threat as a passing team because they have a young quarterback. So maybe they should have been more buttoned up and better against the run. I do think it will help tremendously to get both Ed Oliver and Matt Milano back. I think one guy is one thing, but when you start to pile this up and you have both these guys who are in the middle of your defense, that can really add up there. What I was impressed with, and when I went back and looked, though, was the overall yardage. Whether you get it by running or passing, the Saints had less than 300 yards. They had 4.6 yards a play. It's a pretty low number in the NFL. They kept it to 19 points. So 11 penalties is a really tough number. A lot of self-inflicted stuff. I just thought that went hand in hand with what I felt was a lack of focus. And I don't know if you want – that's the word I'll use. Preparedness, readiness for certain moments. Going a little up-tempo. You knew the Saints were going to do that. 10 men on the field, not getting substitutions. Those are things that that's non-negotiable. Like, you can't have 10 men on the field. You can't be not ready when they're going up-tempo and you can't get your substitutions in. Now, Sean McDermott was upset a couple times, and one of the reasons he used a timeout, people were upset about timeouts, but he had to use a timeout. And one of the reasons was he felt the Saints actually subbed, so the Bills should have a chance to sub.
Right.
So that's fine. But I just thought that those are the things that you can't let happen, and that was happening to them.
Right. That's what he was upset about, Mike, when Bernard was hurt. When he went out on the field and was still yelling at the refs, it was just after that had happened. He had to burn that time out, and on the broadcast they had said like he thinks he should have had a chance to sub, and he didn't get it, so that's why he's been in the year of the referee.
I guess if you're a coach, you can just go out on the field now. Because you don't see ever that – nobody ever says anything about that anymore, right? Like – the referees, the officials will tell you to get back or whatever. But, I mean, he was pretty hot, no doubt. And I think when you're trying to get somebody's attention. But, yeah, I mean, how many times you see – a lot of times the sideline warning, maybe. We wouldn't even see that anymore. No.
But, no, the Bills knew that the Saints would run up-tempo. They run more no huddle than any team in the NFL. But the rule is, so everybody understands what's happening here, the rule is when the offensive team substitutes – that's when the referee stands and holds on the ball to make sure the defensive team has a chance to substitute. If the offensive team doesn't substitute, then they can just go. And McDermott felt the Saints subbed. And a lot of times, and what Eric Wood said, this is an old Patriots trick. He said when you get down in the red zone, they have kind of ways that they do it, and it's kind of sneaky, and they get guys on the field, and the officials don't see it, so they let them go. So I think McDermott was upset about that, and that's why he had to use a timeout.
Well, speaking of getting guys back, like Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, what's the lowdown today? Because there's a lot. Plus, there's guys that are eligible to come off IR now, beginning this week, and you've got is the practice window opening for the suspended guys too? So there's a lot of not that impacts the roster for now. It's still a couple of weeks away, but a lot of machinations may be happening.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start with anything in the. Immediately, the punter, Cameron Johnson, he's dealing with a foot and ankle injury, and that was a pretty tough injury to watch, as you guys saw. Yeah. He's going to miss some time. They're going to sign a new punter at some point here. Sean McDermott said he's going to miss some time, and they'll work out punters. So they'll bring somebody in. They'll sign somebody. We'll see where that goes. That was tough. Good for him that he was able to – he actually went back in the game and helped.
Yeah, right.
So good for him to do that. And after the game, we spoke to him, and I asked him how he was doing, and he said he felt good, but they're going to do more imaging, and obviously that led to that. I heard Zach, not to correct, and I don't know, I could have been wrong. I heard Zach say Cam Lewis. I think when he said Cam, he was referring to Cam Johnson, because I don't think there's anything with Cam Lewis, but I could be wrong, and I didn't get that. When I was trying to figure it out right before I went on with you guys, but I don't think anything with Cam Lewis, but I could be wrong on that. I think he said Cameron, and then Cam meaning Johnston. But either way, I think that's all, because there's nothing else on anybody else during the game, noteworthy injury-wise. Okay, so Maxwell Harrison, Tyler Bass, and even Tylan Grable, they're all eligible to start practicing this week. McDermott sounded as if, we're probably not going to do that yet, but he didn't say that. He basically said, we'll see where it goes, and we'll evaluate everything, and he's got to talk with the trainers and those kinds of things. So we'll see how that goes going forward as far as Oliver and Milano, day by day. Spencer Brown, too, day by day. We'll see on Wednesday if they're able to practice. This is kind of the same thing we've heard, though, for the last couple of weeks, especially on Milano, and they have not been out there. On the suspended players, so what I learned last week was, I believe, and that now not all suspensions are created equal, and this is why there's a little bit of ambiguity here, guys. So because it was halfway through their suspension, 3 weeks last week, that's when they were allowed to return to the facility. So Hoyt and Ogunjobi were back at the facility last week, but I don't believe they're allowed to practice until after the suspension is up, which is week 6. So I don't think that's the case. But as I said, all suspensions aren't created equal, because I think Rashee Rice, his suspension is personal conduct. Their suspensions are PED, and I know Rice can't start practicing until then. So I just want to make sure and try to get more info on Wednesday on that.
Very good. Sal, thanks for your time today. We'll talk in a couple days.
All right, you got it. Thanks, guys.
There's Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. His appearance is brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
What is your outlet? Let's talk some more about this game.
Guitars are my outlet. Nothing against outlet liquor. I like booze just fine, too.
You know whose outlet isn't Guinness? Greg Olson.
Right.
I was trying to think. So Greg Olson, the former tight end who was in the booth for Fox, he had the game in Ireland, and he said he had, on that trip, had a Guinness for the first time. And, how was it? And he's like, I don't need another one. I just felt like I'm in Ireland, I should have a Guinness. And so, it's not like everybody drinks beer or everybody has had a Guinness.
And not everybody that likes to drink beer likes dark beer.
No, but you might have tried it.
Sure.
Because it's so popular and ever-present, omnipresent Guinness. So I was trying to think, what's the thing in my life that everybody else has done or eaten or drank or whatever it is? Like I'm in the smallest minority of anything in life as somebody who has not done a thing.
Not having seen the Blues Brothers.
You're going to answer for me. Well, I'll tell you, I don't have an answer. I couldn't really think of anything. You never saw Forrest Gump.
I did eventually see it with the kids.
That's out then. But movies, right? Everybody might have a movie that everybody else has seen, but they never have.
For a long time, Forrest Gump was that for me. But when the kids were, 10 and 12, we sat down and watched it one night.
I had a friend who claimed he'd never seen The Wizard of Oz. And I think that that's more amazing than any other movie would be.
I agree.
To have never seen The Wizard of Oz. But I've seen The Wizard of Oz. I've seen these movies. I don't know. It isn't a beer, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or a drink. I don't like every drink, but I've tried most things. Food, too. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I've hiked mountains. It's not something I do every day, but, I've been in the ocean.
Yep.
I don't know, what's the thing that... I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Because Greg Olson would be in the small percentage of people that had never tried a Guinness.
I think my Blues Brothers answer has got a chance.
Maybe. I've never had any desire to see it.
You're really missing out.
Am I still... It's 2025. Am I really missing out not having seen a movie that's 50 years old?
I would just tell you, whether you hate the idea, can't stand Dan Aykroyd and or John Belushi, or have a Carrie Fisher problem, watch it just for the music. The musical performances in the movie are incredible.
Okay.
And not just them. There's John Lee Hooker is in there, and Ray Charles is in there, and Aretha Franklin is in there, and it is just incredible.
I don't think I knew that.
It is. It's a piece of work. Really, really great.
Okay. Well, that's helping me. But then it'll be something else.
Yeah.
803-0550. Football Monday continues next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. About the tush push, like the Bills, I think, like the Bills weren't. Why aren't they? They had a sequence yesterday, second and short through fourth and short, and didn't run Allen. The fourth down play as a pass, that little pop pass to Shakir. You said how it was
close to working, but yeah, it did not work. Yeah.
And what I was prepared to say, I slipped in a line because we were just talking about how I just brought up how last year. Or even the year before, I think it was last year, though, Brandon Beane had a comment that stuck with me early in the offseason about Josh Allen and rushing. And, if it's week 2, maybe we make a different choice. And I know yesterday was week 4, but I referred to it, because we had just referred to it yesterday on the show. Why aren't they doing more, Allen running? Maybe because it's week 2 every week. The year where Dorsey got fired, they didn't want, maybe that was the year. They didn't want to run him, and then they were 6-6, and all right. Well, it
was time to go.
Now we have to win every game.
Right.
So they did much more of it. So I think we talk about with this schedule, are the Bills holding stuff back? I don't know if they're holding stuff back. They might be. I think every team to a point might be holding stuff back. That you sort of have a long-term game plan for your season, and as you hit turbulence, you might end up sort of, just like the Allen point from 2 years ago, all right, we got to go. So I think teams can do that. And this would be a classic team for that because of all of it, how much they've won, what the division looks like, the lead they have now, all of it, and who you're playing.
Right.
I don't know if they're doing that. I do think, though, they're dabbling with different players and different situations. We've seen that a few times this year where, even in terms of who was active yesterday, right? Look at Samuel.
Samuel up, and he's right. Did he not catch the first pass of the game? Maybe even it was very early. They went to him anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the first reception of the game.
I think you're right.
I'd be exaggerating that, but either way, that was notable. Yeah, I wonder. I would understand. Halfway through the Chiefs' playoff loss last year in the AFC title game, I remember thinking because they got stopped one time, and I thought, man, I wonder if they're going to go away from this because they're shook. And they stayed with it, and ultimately, I know we can argue about whether he had that last first down or not, but, they got stopped enough that they didn't get a first down on it. And, is that something they're just shying away from in general, or are they waiting? Because maybe they used it so much last year that Kansas City found an antidote, right? It's their version of it had been up to that point just about as unstoppable looking as Philadelphia's had been, but Philadelphia's still going, and the Bills sort of hit a wall in January in Kansas City in the title game last year. And I wonder if they're just sort of don't want it to be as frequent this year so that if they really need it in a big spot, they'll know we can go to it, and maybe teams won't be as studied up on it, which kind of would surprise me because these people have brains too. Anybody they're playing in January could be thinking the same thing. I haven't seen the tush push on tape much this year. Whatever. Get ready for it. Let's go to school on what KC did to them last year. I wonder if they're waiting to unveil something different, instead of, even just subtly changing it. Didn't the Eagles get some credit yesterday for doing something a little different on it?
They basically ran a fake. The Barkley touchdown is basically a fake tush-push play.
Okay.
It might have even been fourth down. But it looks like you know what's coming. Maybe the announcer even would have said it, and it wasn't what was coming.
Right.
They pitched it out to him, and he walked in. So it's something different. You mean maybe going right?
Going a different way instead of going continuously to the left.
Yeah. I want to give them some benefit of the doubt here, whether that's even a good example or a correct example or not. I think there is some of this happening with them. Bishop playing the whole game against the Jets when everybody else came out. Let's just, we're way ahead. Let's use this and focus on him, give him more reps, all that kind of stuff. Samuel for Codrington. They know the point spread, right? Is that going to be something? It's a veteran, too. It's somebody that in that example, you probably feel like you can trust. Maybe you just don't necessarily think he's your best option, but, here, let's do it. So I think there's some of that going on. Might not be the kind of thing they admit, because all this is always predicated on, your best guys at all times. Everybody's doing their absolute best at everything always.
No team is ever going to tell you they're holding stuff back.
Because they played New Orleans.
Yeah, right. They're just never, ever, ever going to admit that. If indeed it is even right. I mean, we're just supposing here. Anyways, but...
And they do rotate on the defensive line, all the time. But, here is a season so far where you have rookies, right? And you
taking a look at the AFC
after yesterday, and 4 more AFC teams play tonight. Jets, Dolphins, then Bengals, Broncos. The starts are staggered by an hour. It's not a doubleheader like last week. Quite the same way. Bills at 4-0. Steelers, Chargers, Colts, Jaguars, all at 3-1. So a tie atop the AFC South, and Houston's not in it. But they did win easily over Tennessee yesterday. I blew that game. I mean, Tennessee is that bad, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
Couldn't score a point. Houston's defense has been good. That can just sort of be the whole game sometimes, just they can't do a thing against you. So you've got one 4-0 team, 4 others at 3-1. Then you have, Cincinnati comes in next at 2-1. Chiefs and Patriots at 2-2. And yes, this leaves out the Ravens, who are 1-3. Denver could pass that tonight. I'm blending everything together. So the Ravens are in kind of a bad spot. AFC South, Jacksonville has not been impressive. I don't know how impressive they were yesterday. They won.
They took the ball away like crazy. I think they had 5 takeaways in that game.
Well, how can you lose?
4 or 5. Whatever. They piled them up. I mean, you should win. Whether you're playing on the road or not, you should win that game. And they were at home, though, actually. No, they were in San Francisco. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, I mean, the takeaways were the thing, I think, from that game.
They have Kansas City next Monday night. I think it's Monday. In Jacksonville. That is confirmed.
Go Jaguars. All right.
I mean, they have the better record, though.
Yeah.
You're just sort of, you sure?
Yes. Yes.
Only other undefeated team in the league is Philadelphia, which won, impressively yesterday in Tampa, I would say.
It was, I mean, they hung on at the end. Tampa every week has been right. They won the 3 games they've won prior to yesterday were, I mean, if not with zeros on the clock, like right there. And they had a look at it yesterday. They just couldn't, they didn't get really past, I'm exaggerating with a look. They had the ball. I don't think they got past midfield. As it turned out, before they had to turn it over, but still.
Did you see the stat on Denver like that, by the way?
I did
go
not.
Into their game tonight. They are 1-2. They have not trailed for 1 second in the fourth quarter this season.
Oh, wow.
Both their losses came at field goals on the last play.
Yeah.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog Football Monday continues. Concerned about the Bills, there was some of that. I mean, maybe that's been the number one kind of attitude about this game today is more critical than you might think for a team that won by 12. We'll look for your calls again after the update. This is WGR. I would say. Of course, now you're getting run on like crazy, and Oliver's hurt, and it might not be the luxury you want it to be, and this game was losable. I mean, New Orleans is down 21-19 in the fourth quarter. Before the Kincaid play. They kicked the field goal after the overturned touchdown Cooks, and then you have the short drive to the Kincaid touchdown, and that's pretty much the ball game there. Football Monday on WGR. Let's go to Kyle here. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Good. Thank you for calling.
Hey, first of all, what a day. I was there yesterday with my son for his first game, and it was beautiful. I mean, the game, not necessarily, but beautiful day. So
sure.
A couple quick thoughts. you guys have already hit on a bunch of them, but I'll just rattle them off. We seem to have a problem with running quarterbacks, defending those. It does seem like Josh is turning down open 10-yard runs, and I think he's being coached to do that. There was a couple yesterday where he had the first down clearly, and instead he threw a contested ball to Knox, I think twice. One to Kincaid, one to Knox, where we're looking at that like, well, yeah, that didn't have a chance. But then, so there was some positive notes, because I do think I am a silver lining guy on this, and I do think we're getting a ton of good reps for some inexperienced players. Jackson Hawes is blocking people down the field 20 yards every other play.
Yeah.
You guys talk about it every week, and obviously I watch it from TV, but to see it in person, I mean, that dude is a man among boys. And I turned to my buddy one time, I go, did you see, it was a good play by, I'm not sure who it was, I think maybe it was Cook, but instead I'm just watching 85 blocking a dude 20 yards down, and he was mean about it too. So I think we found something there. And then just two more real quick is I think Bishop is ascending a little bit, and it's not just a pick. I was just watching him a lot, and he seemed to be in better spots. So I hope my eyes aren't lying to me there. And I do really feel like Deion Walker is, he just continues to make plays. I think maybe 3 or 4 times yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was Walker again.
Yeah.
And
He is the stud. He is the stud of this draft class. I mean, it's tough. Harrison hasn't had a chance yet because he's been hurt. We don't know when he's coming back. But he's outplaying, and I don't think it's even particularly close, the second-round pick Sanders. Sanders did flash a couple times yesterday. It was a really good rep on a pass play where he got very quick pressure that led to a sack. So it's not like he's not doing anything, but Walker. And there are still misses there, but I feel like there's just more hits. And, to what Mike said very early in this conversation about getting guys back, Walker and Oliver together. Like, if Walker can handle the Daquan Jones role, like that, I think by, again, assuming good health for everyone, and Daquan Jones, I think, had a decent day yesterday overall. But I think Walker and Oliver are your two guys. There in the middle, and they have not had a chance to really do anything together yet, and I'm eager to see that. I wonder if the Bills are.
Thanks, Kyle. We'll talk some more after a break. Eric Wood at 4 today. Sal Capaccio will join us shortly thereafter. Fill us in on what news we might get in terms of IR and roster changes. Bills have lost their punter, it would seem, for some period of time, so we'll check in on Sal with Sal, and maybe on Sal.
I was with Sal on Saturday, assuming nothing happened yesterday to him. Although
he's sufficiently checked in on.
I feel like I'm confident he's going to be okay.
Good. Eric and Sal next hour, perhaps.
McDermott spoke with the media earlier today at Oliver. Matt Milano and Spencer Brown all appear to be heading in the right direction after all three were inactive yesterday. Punter Cameron Johnston is going to miss some time. He's dealing with a foot/ankle issue, and then no decisions have been made just yet on any of the players that are on IR. That does, of course, include Max Harrison, Tyler Bass, and Tylen Grable. Up next for the Bills, Week 5, Sunday Night Football hosting the New England Patriots. Week 4, though, is going to wrap up tonight with a Monday night doubleheader. 7:15, Dolphins host the New York Jets. Miami is going to be in their rivalry jerseys. And the Jets, they're going to be without linebacker Jermaine Johnson and defensive back Jarvis Brownlee, while Miami, they're going to be without some cornerbacks Storm Duck and Jason Marshall Jr. That game is going to be on our sister station, the Bet 1520. Starting just an hour later at 8:15, the Bengals are in Denver to take on the Broncos. Just wide receiver Marvin Mims is questionable for Denver, while the Bengals, they're going to be without edge rusher Shamar Stewart and tight end Noah Fant. Some other injury notes in the league. Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors has officially suffered a torn ACL. He's going to be out for the season. And the bad news keeps getting worse for the Ravens. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey out at least a few weeks with a calf injury. Linebacker Roquan Smith also going to be out a few weeks. He's dealing with a hamstring. As is quarterback Lamar Jackson, though his status for at least this week is still up in the air. And then defensive tackle Nnamdi Matabuka is out for the season with a neck injury. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Tunnel screen to Shakir, works his way through a tackler, stays on his feet, breaks away from another, 20, 10, 5. Khalil Shakir, slippery as ever. Play clock at 1, handoff to Kamara, who is slammed and dropped by the rookie, Deion Walker.
It's Mike Schopp.
Orbit motion, it's a reverse. Olave going Philly special, and it's intercepted by Cole Bishop at the 2-yard line, and up the sideline he goes. What a play by Cole Bishop.
And the Bulldog.
Fakes the handoff to Cook. Allen gonna run it, tucks it, and he reaches the goal line. The Beast has been released as he takes it in on a 5-yard touchdown run. Fakes the throw to the flat, looks down the sideline, he's got Kincaid, who's gonna walk it in for a 23-yard touchdown.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
I'm not sure other teams should be allowed to run the Philly special. I mean, most famous plays are not named for teams. So go have fun with your hook and ladder and your tush push, like, I don't want to run the brotherly shove, but I'll run the tush push. I mean, I don't want to run the Philly special unless we can come up with some other name. Let's just throw a wrinkle in so that the coach, when the game, if it works, after the game, can say, actually, that was not what that was because we did this instead. If you actually look for it, you'll see it.
All right. I just love. I thought Chris did a great job to work. I think everyone knows what that means. You're a football fan. I mean, not everyone. I suppose my parents were listening to the game for some reason, not watching it, which I'm assuming they would have been watching it. But if they were listening, maybe my mom wouldn't have known what the Philly special is. But maybe my dad too, not to be sexist. But I think most football fans of a certain age know that reference, and I thought Chris did a great job to just in the flow of that, just say it. Just as it's unfolding in front of them. Hey, this is the Philly special. That was pretty good.
There's good and then less good from yesterday, and you're welcome to come to us with what you're thinking about the most. 803-0550 is the number. It's funny to say this because it's what we talked about every day for so long, but it's probably time to have another James Cook talk. I mean, game after game is going by, and he's just killing it. Like, It's kind of enough already with what he isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, this other guy will play more snaps. This guy can catch the ball better. This guy's bigger. All the different areas where individually he might not be like very top notch, but what he is, not what he isn't. What he is, here now, and now being like the last 2 years. It says a lot. Like it's working. I mean, that's just the very most modest way to put it. And Allen, again, yesterday, and you can make excuses for this, like who they played and everything, but, he didn't need to really carry them. And because Cook is doing enough. Like, the line is good. And the threat that Allen poses, of course, makes it easier. And that's been one of my counterpoints on him. Well, both of those things, actually. Like, you've got to have the blocking, and you want to have the quarterback being the running threat and just the overall threat that Allen is. I mean, James Cook has it good here. There's no question about that. But he's doing about as much as you could do with it, given how much he plays.
Yeah.
And what has happened to Davis, if anything, is interesting.
That's what I'm waiting to bring up here is I mentioned it with Eric Wood. Like, I know file this under, gee, I wish I had your problems, right? Like, I'm wondering what happened to the Bills' backup running back, right? That's my concern today is what's going on with the backup running back. But, like, there was more of a timeshare last year. Cook was ahead of the other two, but Davis was like getting equal time with Ty Johnson, basically, I think, is the way it worked. I don't know if that shook out in touches necessarily. It certainly wouldn't have been receptions because Johnson was their third down back and caught more passes, I'm pretty sure, than Ray Davis, although I got to go back and look at last year. But Davis is a ghost. I mean, again, another game goes by here, and we're talking about what, one carry?
Yep.
So
for 3.
It's not. On one hand, you could say like that's not going very well, but on the other hand, he's not even really getting he's getting one carry in a game. What am I? I'm supposed to draw conclusions about like is something wrong with him or something? They don't like blocking for him or something. I'm not positing any of that. I just think it's very interesting that Cook is being trusted with that much more of a workload. And this is not me saying he doesn't deserve it. He's always been the most talented of those 3 guys. But the question for me about his usage in the previous season, and if you want to go back further than that, but really last year was the breakout year, and then we started talking about a contract. It was like, no, they like doling it out the way they're doling it out. Davis will have a role. Ty Johnson absolutely has a role. That hasn't really changed with Johnson, but Davis just does not exist here from a getting touches standpoint. And I just hope, because I don't know, maybe Cook, we've never seen him do it. Maybe he can handle 56 or 60% snap share up from 47 or 48 or whatever it was last year. I just want to be careful about it. Like his value, it's switched to me now. He's demonstrating how good he is and thus how valuable he is, that I want to make sure I don't overdo it. Because I'm not ready to assume that Ray Davis can just do something similar to what James Cook is doing. It looks like the Bills don't think that anymore.
Well, is that how you've thought about this before this year? Because I can't say that I have. I mean, it's not going to be necessarily identical because, one guy was a better prospect and has more time with the starters, timing and all of what goes into executing these plays. It's not really a fair fight. But I would say it's been close enough. When Cook missed a game last year, Davis was fine in his stead. So, to me, part of the thinking on Cook is like, I don't think I'd miss him if he's not there. And for a lot of the summer, we were thinking about that possibility. Like, will he be there? So, I mean, it's not as easy to say that now.
No, I don't want to say it at all. In fact, what I'm saying is protect him because I don't think it's as interchangeable. I think I was mistaken to have thought that it wouldn't be that big of a deal if he weren't there, or if they didn't pay him, if he got mad and went home, or whatever we were talking about before the contract extension happened. I don't think you can assume that anymore with how it's going. But again, Davis hasn't really even gotten the chance, which is maybe the most curious part about it at all, that he doesn't have a game with 7 carries even yet. It just is not happening.
Yeah, well, he has not gotten anywhere. I wonder, Cook has been very good, and there's no need necessarily to look harder at it than that. I mean, he has deserved his volume, and he's paid them off. But like Davis this year is 11 for 29. He had 9 carries in the Jet game for 24 yards.
Okay.
And, that was a blowout.
Right.
But he didn't get anywhere. And in the other 3 games, he's combined 2 for 5. And he has 1 catch for -1. Like, there's nothing happening.
I heard a bit of the pregame show yesterday. Jeremy and Joe were talking about this, and I heard Jeremy make the point, and I don't have this. It's easy enough to do. So maybe I can do it in a few minutes here. But look at the games where Davis carried the ball significantly, and the games. Now last year, the game scripts might not be. The final scores might not be indicative of what the game was like in the second quarter or the third quarter, right? But the games where he got touches, that Cook played. Of course, the Jet game is an exception because Cook missed that last year, and Davis was the number 1 guy in that game. But the other games, the games where the Bills win by a lot, are the games where he gets the touches.
Sure.
Just like the Jet game, which makes sense. So what I think Jeremy was driving at, and maybe this is a sensible way to look at it, is that, at least I would say this for myself, hearing Jeremy point that out made me think, maybe I overreacted to a few blowouts. Like, there's not as much of a timeshare as we think. Whatever the snap percentages are affected by what the game situation is. So if Davis is eating into James Cook in games that they're comfortable in, well, that makes sense. You want to protect your number 1 guy. But it's not like they're getting a change of pace for Davis in a game that's tight. It's our number 1 guy's out there. Like we're playing our dude. Well,
let me say here, yes and no. He had 3 games last year where he had double-digit carries. One of them is Week 18, where Cook sat most of the game, not all of it. He scored his touchdown.
Brought him in to score his touchdown, right?
Number 1 is the Jet game where Cook was inactive. Number 3, because the Week 18 New England game is number 2. That can be discounted. Number 3 is San Francisco. And that game did get away from San Francisco, but the Bills' second drive is a Davis drive. And he scores the touchdown to finish the drive.
All right.
He puts them up 7-3.
Good. All right.
That game did become, kind of a blowout. But still, like, it was before they got ahead. Where Davis was like, that's just one game.
Right. But still, that's a game that you would have in mind where he got a lot of touches and it ended up being a crooked score. But no, so what they're not doing is, if they are getting him a series early, he's not getting anywhere, and then that's it. Like, we're done. We're done for the day. James Cook and Ty Johnson, you go have at it here. And I wonder if they will make some effort to try to reestablish that. Because I do think it is important to protect. It's more important now, I feel like, with the way these first 4 games have looked, to make sure you are protecting Cook and not overdoing it. And Davis is the answer to that. So let's see if you can get him going so that you've got, the alternative and the opportunity to make sure you're pacing Cook effectively. I don't want to get to December in January and have a guy that has, like, he's got an all-time high in carries and maybe looks like it.
Yeah, I get that. Well, Cook is still young enough, right? Like, we're not talking about Barkley off 400 touches or, and they have limited him coming into this year. And I don't think it matters what they're paying him for any of this. So it feels like it's okay, But what you're saying is just you got to be careful. And, of course, that's right. But it feels like it's okay, I wonder if something is different with Davis. I haven't heard anything, but and it wasn't like he's never been lightning or anything like that. I mean, Davis is a big physical runner, but he's not somebody who's going to, like, usually break plays off for you. And I don't know if this year if it's been enough to even be able to cast a fair judgment. It's just like He doesn't have a good play yet.
I'm trying to remember. That's right. I'm trying to remember if there was anything in the summer that he talked about, even like as camp was beginning, like, yeah, I wanted to get a little lighter or something. Did he change? I wonder if he changed anything. That doesn't have to explain whatever's happening, because it's 4 games. And so it's not just one game, but it is still a very small. His attempts is a very small sample size. It's 4 games, which is not that small, but 11 carries in those 4 games. I can't draw conclusions at all. I don't think it would be right to about did he change something and therefore he's not as effective anymore.
And again, it's not just 11 carries; it's 2 in 3 of the games,
right?
Total,
that's right?
And it's 9 in garbage time against the Jets,
right?
So, I mean, it's really it's a super backup role.
He's not really a part of the offense right now at all.
Exactly, yeah. Well, that's Davis, but Cook, I mean, he's second in the league in rushing behind Jonathan Taylor. He's first alone in rushing touchdowns,
5,
with 5, which last year he tied for the league lead in rushing touchdowns. He's got 21 rushing touchdowns in 21 regular season games. And how many games in a row? 7 or 8 in a row? This is record stuff.
It's 8 now. Yeah, it was 7 going into yesterday, and they got him his touchdown, and so that goes on.
A caller to postgame wanted to, I don't know. I'm not trying to hide from how I felt about Cook in the past, which is just to say, he's good, but I'm not going to go crazy. And I think at times the conversations I've gotten into with callers and with people are people who sound like they're just way up here on him. The one guy calls us once in a while to talk about OJ.
Right.
And first team All-Pro stuff. I mean, he might have a look at that this year. He'll have to keep this up. Still, to me, and you don't have to agree with this, but the very top tier of guys, yesterday's guy he's got to be top 5 in the league. And, I said, because I'm, a stubborn Scorpio, I said, do we need to do top 5 in the league at week 4? You can do anything you want whenever you want to do it. But is it time to recalibrate that list and maybe take Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry off of it? Do we need to do that? At the end of the season, we'll want to do that. You want to do that today, you can.
He's outperforming them both now.
By far.
There's no question about that.
By far. Taylor, Bijan, Gibbs, Genty yesterday. I mean, he's an elite all-time prospect. ETN even, I have to say, he's somebody. I don't draft Cook and I don't draft ETN. And this year,
he had a big run yesterday. Yeah, early.
He had a big game too. I mean, the thinking there quickly was new regime, holdover running back who's only been this level of efficient. Maybe they'll make a change, but they absolutely have not. That they've leaned into him. So, okay, Jacobs last night, whatever. I mean, you could.
Top 5 in the league right now is not outrageous. He's leading the league in rushing and or up there at the top and leading the league in rushing touchdowns. It's not heresy to say he's ranking there.
I think you can say that.
Yeah. So what? I don't know. I'm going to hang on to the usage thing. Not to have a gotcha moment if something happens to him. I just, he does. I heard Eric, I don't think he got into it with us very much, but I heard him talking about this, I think, with Chris and Steve earlier today. He doesn't get hit, really. He's very good about, getting down when he needs to get down and just avoiding any kind of really big contact. But that's not even, I think that way more about a quarterback than I do a running back. It's not nothing, but to me, just you're leaning on a guy for 20-plus carries a game, just anything. Like the turf. I mean, the turf got Malik Neighbors yesterday. Thankfully, the Bills don't play at MetLife Stadium. Oof. But, anything can get you. So I just want to be careful about how much I'm leaning on him at this point. But he's been excellent, and he has deserved the carries. I just hope they don't go too hard at it.
The Bills get Bijan Robinson in 2 weeks. And unless their defense changes, you're going to start to see, if you play fantasy football seriously, playing against Buffalo is like a top matchup for a running back because they're just getting pretty much destroyed against the run. Yesterday was Kendre Miller. I mean, I know who that is. Not everybody's going to know who that is. And, the backup for the Saints. And he looked good, I thought, in that game. The touchdown run was real nice, but he's running through guys.
Yeah, he ran through a tackle in the hole and got, Trey White had a look at him, but didn't seem really that up for it. And maybe there's another tackle he breaks on that run, too. So that's the thing, yeah. And sadly, that's week 6, Atlanta, Bijan Robinson. You're not – maybe you get Oliver and Milano back by then, but you're not getting the suspended guys back. The reinforcements, some of them aren't eligible until after that week.
That's also Atlanta's next game.
Yeah, they're on bye, right.
They beat Washington yesterday. Been a strange team so far. And then have the bye in week 5. Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and
Green Bay.
Well, they got to be exhausted. Green Bay. They have to be. They need the bye because they've got to be so tired after last night. 40-40. What a beauty that game was. What a beauty. Do we like at all that the game had to end in a tie? Does that really fly? I mean, they really just couldn't keep going. Next score wins. 40-40.
I know. From a player safety standpoint, I'm not up for extending regular season games any more than they're already extended.
Okay, fine.
But it's not. I mean, it's far from perfect. Obviously, you'd like to avoid it, but I just don't know the answer.
At least college got around to putting a limit on overtimes. Not exactly. I mean, after the first overtime in college football, the second you have to go for 2.
It's that soon, the second one.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the third is only 2-point plays. Back and forth.
Okay.
That's it. After the second overtime, the third overtime on is you try for 2, I try for 2. If we both make it or both miss it, we do it again.
Okay. Is that what I missed when I fell asleep during Virginia, Florida State Friday night? Because that game went to overtime, and I bailed out when it got – I did not know about this rule change in college football. I've not stayed with a college football game long enough to get to 2-point tries. When it went to overtime, I was like – nobody is stopping anyone on this, and I'm going to be up until 3 a.m.
I'm out.
I'm out. I got the alarm is set for 5:30. I got an early tea time. I'm done. But I mean, that game was super fun to watch. I mean, just a great college football game. If you like when nobody can play defense, basically, it's really, really fun watching the quarterbacks work in that game.
Oregon Penn State went to the second overtime, and Penn State got picked off to end the game, and that game was 3-3. For a while.
Yeah.
And it went over the 53. That's one thing about the overtimes in college that can
really pile it up.
That's not a great feeling to lose on those. I didn't. I lost on the picks. I had Penn State. And then it's 30-24 Oregon in the second overtime, and I'm giving 3.5 on the show here. And I'm like, there's literally no way I can win.
Right.
Anymore. In the old days, just
right.
In the fifth overtime, I get a touchdown, you don't, I win. But that's not how it works anymore.
Right.
Football Monday on WGR. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog at 803-0550. What's your attitude about yesterday's Bills win over the Saints? We'll be back after the update. This is WGR.
Not too much of an update on the status of Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, and Spencer Brown, though head coach Sean McDermott, when speaking to the media, did say all three were heading in the right direction. Bad news for punter Cameron Johnston. He's going to miss some time with a foot/ankle issue, and then no decisions have been made just yet on the players that are on IR. That does include, of course, Max Harrison, Tyler Bass, and Tylen Grable. Week 4 is going to wrap up with Monday Night Football. It is a doubleheader starting at 7:15. The Dolphins are going to host the New York Jets, and Miami is going to be in their rivalry jerseys. The Jets are going to be without linebacker Jermaine Johnson and defensive back Jarvis Brownlee, while Miami, they're going to be down some cornerbacks Storm Duck and Jason Marshall Jr. That game can be heard over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. And then just an hour later at 8:15, the Bengals are in Denver to take on the Broncos. Just wide receiver Marvin Mims is questionable for Denver, while the Bengals, they're going to be without edge rusher Shamar Stewart and tight end Noah Fant. And then the bad news keeps getting worse for the Ravens. They are dealing with a number of injuries after yesterday's loss to Kansas City. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey is out at least a few weeks with a calf injury. Linebacker Roquan Smith also out a few weeks. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. Another hamstring injury is with quarterback Lamar Jackson. His status for this upcoming weekend is up in the air. And the defensive tackle Nnamdi Matabuka out for the season due to a neck injury. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I mean, it seems like he's getting better each and every week, which is hard to imagine. The way that he kind of has this patience to hit the hole, but when he hits it, I mean, he's shot out of a cannon. His contact balance is unbelievable. His jump cuts are awesome. You know, glad he's on our team.
Josh Allen on James Cook, another big game on the stat sheet for Cook yesterday and for the Bills on offense in general. 31 points, 31-19, the final over New Orleans. The Saints cover the 15.5-point spread, and we're not a pushover. Fourth quarter, they had the ball down 2. So the Bills did not have the kind of game you might have thought they would against New Orleans. You know, I'm not sitting here right now entirely sure how they did it. You know, they ran the ball. They didn't get anything explosive in this game really at all, like no big plays.
No.
Rattler moved pretty well. Like he moved
got
really,
out a
couple times.
He hurt them especially early quite a lot, really. Yeah.
And they didn't screw up. I mean, the Saints, a bad team can give you the ball 3 or 4 times.
Right, they threw the one pick. You know, that was a receiver throwing it to a quarterback, which is the opposite of the way that's supposed to work. And they even took it away one time, and they sacked Josh Allen 3 times.
Yep.
Like they were
Granderson.
They were more than plucky. I was going to say plucky, and that feels like a slight even.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is plucky a slight?
I felt like, well, in this case, I mean, I think it can be a compliment, but I think they were better than plucky.
I don't know. Well,
north of plucky. Plucky adjacent.
North of plucky.
North of plucky.
Bride of Chucky, north of plucky.
Let me write that down so I don't forget it.
What about their performance would disqualify them from plucky status? Is plucky different than scrappy? Plucky. I kind of think that is what they were.
Yeah, all right. I wanted to compliment them more than plucky. So I need something.
They don't deserve that.
Okay.
They don't deserve that.
All right.
They're one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills should be very glad that they're playing Miami and New Orleans these last 2 weeks. Because, I mean, maybe Miami's better than New Orleans, but on the heels of their start, we weren't thinking that they necessarily were.
No, we thought that we were going to a funeral for Mike McDaniel, I think, last Thursday. That's how I was viewing it. And we'll see. I don't know. There's a chance that still happens for them. I think they're far from, out of the woods, I think, Miami. We'll see. I mean, if they lose to the Jets at home,
yeah, then
maybe it's right back to, whatever, code red or whatever you want.
Which they usually could.
Yeah.
It's not like they're a big favorite.
I was just looking, 2.5 maybe, I think.
Really? Less than a field goal.
Yeah.
It's not running through the 3, you're saying. And what's Denver? Like a touchdown?
I have Denver minus 7.5, according to ESPN right now.
Through the 7.
Right, and 2.5 is right on Miami. Over 43.5 in the early game, 44.5 in the later game. Although neither game is really that late. The second game starts at the normal time. The other one starts an hour earlier.
Baltimore plays Kansas City, and it's the only thing we want to talk about every day is what should happen in that game, like what we want to have happen. Tonight, is it so irrelevant in the AFC East that like Jets-Dolphins just does not carry any weight? The Bills have beaten both teams already.
I don't care who wins.
Don't care who wins
I don't think
all.
either team will be a threat. I guess if you want to consider that Miami's the more ready-made team, then root for the Jets. Because if one of them's going to get hot, I don't think either of them will, but Miami's got more there, I think. They're more prepared to offer you more as the season goes on, whereas I think the Jets...
Well, now I'm getting far in, but there are fans who have said... what they want from the Dolphins is just to stay where they are.
Right, so maybe go Dolphins.
Whereas the Jets have a rookie coach and a new quarterback, and they could ride that out a little bit, and maybe you end up with, two bad teams for another year or two to come. New England might not be bad, and that's this week. And they just crushed Carolina. That game was, over early. Carolina really never did anything to them. I don't know. I still have a feeling that there's a team in there. And when you look at the AFC today, like I have a bet on them to make the playoffs. They lose to the Raiders at home. They lose to Pittsburgh at home. 5 turnovers. Ugh, so much for that easy schedule and whatever else. But, there's still, it's obviously very early as well, but there's still room for a team of this caliber to make it. Maybe they're going to have to win games like Sunday, like win a couple...
Yep.
Where they're playing over their heads maybe and get those early losses back that way. But May had a great day. And there's another team. I was just thinking about Philadelphia, texting with Sal about what the Eagles look like so far. And the Patriots aren't throwing the ball either. Neither are the Bills. Mm-hmm. Like there's several teams.
Who is throwing the ball? That's the question. Who is throwing the ball?
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Went for 350.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me look. Who is throwing the ball?
That's probably not what you want. It's fine that he threw for 350, but like if that's not going anywhere.
Nope, you're probably right. The pressure was tough on him.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is throwing the ball, of course.
Right. Yeah,
he was awesome again.
They've got a couple. They're 2 of their last 3 games, right? The Giant game was a couple weeks ago now. That was insane. Yesterday was insane. Even without CeeDee Lamb, there's Pickens with a couple of touchdowns, right? Like
huge game. Ferguson.
They just all got there. Yeah.
Matthew Stafford is 2nd in passing yards to Prescott. Allen is 7th. May is 6th. Does that even feel right?
I saw something EPA maybe for quarterbacks. Like May is right up there with Allen. He is in this too, like you're saying, just yards. But I think he's been pretty effective, even though they've dropped a couple of games.
Neither Allen nor May are top 10 in attempts, but they're 7 and 6 respectively in yards. 2nd in attempts is Flacco. And it sounds like he's coming out.
Matter of time, I think, at this point.
There was some speculation that it's not. This is the time.
Maybe it's now.
That
right?
Dylan Gabriel will play against Minnesota. Rattler is 4th. So I guess they're throwing the ball. Trevor Lawrence is 5th. It is always interesting about football. And certainly right now, every season is in its own way. Where you have, and the Bills are a microcosm of this, where you have the elite quarterback, but you really just don't need to put it all on him. When they beat Baltimore, one of my points was, this isn't exactly taking the load off of Josh Allen's shoulders, this game. It's really like not being good enough to win until they did, and then they won. But the 3 games since have totally been
pretty rocking chair for him.
Yeah,
anyway. He needed
game manager.
He needed a big run yesterday. Like you're talking about this moment where it's a 2-point game. That's a third down, maybe 3rd and 5, whatever it is, and he busts up the middle for 27 yards, and then the next play is the Kincaid touchdown and lights out, game's over. But they needed a play there from him for sure, and got it when they needed it. There. And then he tried the same thing on the next series that I think ended with the field goal, and it wasn't there. Like the Saints sort of closed it down on him when he tried to bust up the middle on that. I wonder with the Browns if the fact that they're playing in London this week is a deterrent to making a change. Like it's not a normal week. It's a more turbulent week. Travel-wise, logistically, all that might be a deterrent to pivoting to the rookie, I think. But we'll see. I mean,
something I read today said they were ready to do it, but nothing official that I've seen.
And the Tennessee coach is probably going to get fired soon. I haven't looked.
Odds?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Has he passed Mike McDaniel?
Give it till tomorrow.
Okay, right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a disaster.
Yes.
His father is on the staff.
Yeah.
Can you just fire the son? Does the dad quit if the son's fired? Bill Callahan.
Yeah, I think I would want my dad to quit if I got fired.
Interesting.
I mean, assuming we ever worked in the same place, which,
could they replace
never happened.
The son with the father? We've got a guy here on the staff who's coached. He's been a head coach in the Super Bowl, people. What do we do when we fire a coach? We go for the opposite. Here's a guy who's inexperienced. We got an experienced, winning coach on the staff. It just so happens he's the current coach's dad. Imagine if dad takes the job as the replacement for the son.
And turns it around.
And turns it around. He's going to have to turn his relationship with his son around. But maybe the son has to respect it if he turns it around. I don't know what next year's Hallmark movie is going to be. I mean, they're not necessarily based on true stories, but that's not a Hallmark movie, though, is it?
No.
The son gets fired. The dad decides to shun the son and take the job because they have an experienced coach on the staff in him, and he changes the culture from his son's culture.
Right.
Oh, baby.
Now my son is texting me, asking me if I would quit if he was fired. And I'm writing him back, no, I was here first. Right? Didn't Brian Callahan bring his dad in? I don't think Bill Callahan was there. He's been in the league a long time. Of course, he's his dad, but it's different. I think the order of hiring matters.
But how did that go? Brian Callahan's like, I know a guy to coach the line if you need somebody. Really?
Who's that?
My father.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he got the job, was because the father was available to be his assistant. And they thought any sort of inexperience would not be a problem.
Right.
Because dad is there. But son doesn't want to, capitulate to dad. I'm my own man. I'm 40. I'm here. I'm going to call my own plays and do all this.
Going all Mike Gundy over here.
There's got to be something here. Is this what we're talking about in Tennessee right now, but seriously?
Yes.
Replacing Brian Callahan with his father? And he's terrible at these press conferences, too. Like, just loses it, kind of, sometimes.
Yeah, he is, at this point, he's got to know the train is about to hit him.
0-4 Tennessee. Next up, week 5 this is watchable, at Arizona. I'm sure that's a 405 right there. That right. Screams 405.
That is on in Tennessee and in Arizona.
And if
some color you've never even heard of on the map is going to some blackish orange color or something. There it is.
And if either team has a key player born in some faraway land, it's on there too.
Right.
That's the list though. Right. If Cam Ward were from Alaska, it'd be on in Alaska. Right. I don't believe he is.
No, I don't think so.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog Football Monday continues. 803-0550 to call in. This is WGR. Should be an interesting night. Doubleheader, 7:15.
Yep.
Jets, Dolphins, 8:15. Bengals, Broncos. Probably watch the Dolphins until it's bad.
Yeah.
And during halftime, watch the other game.
Yep.
Do some flipping.
That'll be my plan. Yeah.
It's a big fantasy night. I mean, Jamar Chase, Jason Higgins, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Waddle, Tyreek. You've got a lot of
Justin Fields.
I was going to say, you got a lot of top 30 picks playing the night. Man, it's been hard. Like, Neighbors is done. Some of these guys like Brian Thomas are just not paying it off at all. McCaffrey is. Barkley really isn't. Puka Nacua. Let's play a game Friday with Sam Panayotovich. Will he bring up Puka Nacua before we do? Because way back in the summer, Sam said, I'm sure he said it on the air, we had conversations about it as well, that his bet for Offensive Player of the Year is Nacua.
Okay.
The price was good, and he wasn't fazed by Devontae Adams being there. Like, the guy just has to stay healthy.
And
But
Cup is gone.
Cup is gone. Stafford has to play. We had that drama too.
Yep.
But it's all happening. 10 for 170 and a touchdown yesterday. The guy is incredible. And he has an injury history, but, I mean, so do a lot of them. You take your chances. Offensive Player of the Year, I should say, is an interesting award. It's not like many of these perfectly clear-cut how it's meant, what it's meant for, because quarterbacks can win it, but it tends to be the quarterback wins the MVP and then the best running back or wide receiver wins this award. And if that continues, Nacua, he might be the favorite right now. And James Cook would be right there. And Joe Ostrowski mentioned Cook for this last week, if not with us on Bet Sweats. So I should get those odds. We can't bet that in New York State.
Right.
But I would think that maybe McCaffrey too, maybe Bijan Robinson. I mean, a few guys. St. Brown. Quentin Johnston. Anybody? Not McConkey. I mean, there's a guy, mid-second round pick that just
nothing there.
One catch yesterday. Yep. Johnston's getting all the love. So that could be interesting to watch. Sam's going to love it if Nacua stays in it. And, I mean, Neighbors is out for the year now.
Right.
Another guy who would have been interesting to talk about there. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, Football Monday. We're at 803-0550. Talk some more Bills-Saints next. If you want to tell us how you felt about the game or what concerns you might have for the Bills. We've talked a lot about the defense today. The run defense is really hurting, but they do have guys, injured, suspended, that might be able to fix that for them, but maybe not exactly. That might not be imminent. We'll see. Lines are open for you. This is WGR. Bottle bundle deals continue.
with the media earlier today following the win over New Orleans yesterday. Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, and Spencer Brown all do appear to be heading in the right direction after being inactive yesterday. The same cannot be said, though, for punter Cameron Johnston. He is going to miss some time with a foot/ankle issue, and then no decisions have been made just yet on the players that are on IR. And that does include cornerback Max Hairston, kicker Tyler Bass, and offensive lineman Tylen Grable. If you want to listen back to what Bills head coach Sean McDermott did have to say, you can find that on the Odyssey app or on our website, WGR550.com. Coming up in just a little over an hour, Monday Night Football will get underway. Game 1 of 2. Dolphins host the New York Jets at 7:15. Miami is going to be in their rivalry jerseys. And then some injury notes. Jets are going to be without linebacker Jermaine Johnson and defensive back Jarvis Brownlee, while Miami is going to be without some cornerbacks, Storm Duck and Jason Marshall Jr. This game you can listen to on our sister station, the Bet 1520, and then a little bit of a staggered start tonight. At 8:15 will be game number 2. Bengals out in Denver versus the Broncos. Just wide receiver Marvin Mims is questionable for Denver, while the Bengals, they're going to be without Shamar Stewart and Noah Fant. Some other injury notes. Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors officially suffered a torn ACL. He is out for the season. And then the bad news keeps on building for the Ravens. A number of injuries following yesterday's loss to Kansas City. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey out at least a few weeks with a calf injury. Linebacker Roquan Smith out a few weeks with a hamstring. Quarterback Lamar Jackson, his status is up in the air, though. He is dealing with a hamstring injury as well. And then defensive tackle Nnamdi Matabuka out for the season due to a neck injury. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp.
We were having a very serious conversation about mayonnaise here.
And the Bulldog.
And don't even talk to me about weed.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
You know, thinking of it again, it's possible that the Dolphins' quote rivalry uniforms get me off that game. Although the Bengals and Broncos can get clashy. I don't know what they're wearing.
Yeah.
I don't want to. The Broncos are going to be in orange, right? That's what they wear at home. Cincinnati in white, all white probably.
Put the orange on the trim of the pants and the stripes and it's giving me a headache just thinking about what that game's going to look like on my TV.
Dolphins are in all black, right?
Yes, except I think it's supposed to be blue.
Okay, well,
but it it's absolutely going to look black on TV. It looks black in all the photos I've seen on social media, but I think it's supposed to be a dark blue, or it is a dark blue, but it doesn't show up. And not in the way that like the Sabres jerseys before they got to the right blue. Like, those looked darker than blue on TV, but I think you still objectively would have to say you knew it was blue.
Sure.
These look black, just black. there's no wiggle room. They look black. I mean, we'll see once the game is on and the lights and everything, maybe it'll look different on TV, but every picture I've seen, I read today that they're blue, and I said, what are we doing here? If you want blue, make them blue.
We'll have to see.
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect,
but I
might love them.
That's a good point.
I like when the Dolphins are in the retro look. That's my favorite.
Me too. Checkerboard, or like the old end zone graphic, right? They are doing. I did read, and I think Arizona did last week too when they wore these on Thursday. The end zones were different. Mm-hmm. Arizona had that like rising sun thing going. That looked great in the end zones.
The state flag.
Yeah. The Dolphins are doing something significant for this game to the field. I wonder what next Sunday night brings, because the Bills are wearing their rivalry gear, that snow, that white freeze thing. I wonder what. Yeah, how'd I do there, folks?
I would do no better.
Yeah,
I know that there's going to be, absolutely full-on corporate stiff language out there to describe these uniforms. There always is, and I will never read any of that.
Right.
So sorry, on this show, I think the policy we've just determined is you're going to have to settle for freeze things.
Snow freeze thing. Yeah,
I think that's what we're going to have to give you.
So are they doing, I hope so. Like, what? Is the logo at the midfield going to be different? Are the end zones going to be different? I hope they are. If other teams are doing that, I sure hope that the Bills are in line to do that. I'm curious to see what it looks like.
It's interesting that the game is so early. I mean, we can't get out of the 80s weather-wise. Maybe it'll be different this week, but
right.
I looked when the uniforms came out, like the future look at October 5th or whatever it is, and like 50s is sort of normal for night.
Sunday forecast as of now, I see a high of 75, but I cannot.
75.
75. I think by game time, we're into the mid-60s.
Still. Not exactly freeze-thing weather.
That is not, right.
Snow freeze-thing weather.
Right.
I mean, how far are we going to take this out there on Sunday? Are there icicles? That could be a cool effect. If you had icicles like in the end zone, sort of looking like they're frozen, stuck on the back of the end zone and facing the field of different sizes. What do you think of that idea? Icicle end zones in 70-degree weather.
Yeah. Well, today looks like we might be done with the 80s after today.
Still.
It's still 74, 65, 69, 72, 74, 75, 70. I mean, we're and sun every one of those days. It's not supposed to rain according to this advanced forecast I'm looking at until next Tuesday.
The best description of the last month's weather I heard was when I was at Canisius football on Saturday, and a friend said, it's suddenly San Diego every day here. You know?
Yep.
Pretty perfect. Your thoughts on yesterday are welcome, 803-0550. We've talked about a lot of different things. The defense getting run on, which is now to the tune of second worst in the league by total yards rushing. They are first against the pass, which should be pointed out for this because there is a checks and balances element to it. But still, 31st against the run is not what you want. Bills are also first in the league in rushing as a team on offense, which is not surprising.
Mm-hmm.
If Cook's going to be second in the league to Jonathan Taylor, and Allen's going to be Allen, even in that game yesterday, which was not like a famous Josh Allen rushing day at all,
he put up a pretty.
He had numbers,
yeah,
and he got in the end zone again,
right.
So
like, what was it, 47? In the 40s, I think he ran. He had one 27-yard carry I talked about earlier that they really needed a play there, and I mean, they didn't need 27 yards there, but still, it was a nice time for him to break loose.
I want to preface this next point with these things change all the time. Like, this is not something you really ever know. But going back a while, we had with these guys close game stress. Sure, they can blow out bad teams, but what about close games? We had that one season where they lost some or all of their close games, you know? And like, well, is that sticky? Is that who they are? And I'm sure I said, no, it's not sticky, but it's also last year Kansas City won them all. And like, what do you say to that? What I say to that is eventually that comes around, and it has actually for the Chiefs this year. So saying all that about this game, one of the first questions I asked you on postgame yesterday was, did you ever think they would lose? And I will tell you, I never thought they would lose. I mean, it's just too much to beat them for anybody. Yeah. Let alone the Saints.
They were really sloppy yesterday and still won pretty comfortably. But they were, I said a few times late in the week, last week, leading up to this game, I have a real struggle seeing the Bills be sloppy enough for the Saints to actually win the game. They were sloppy enough for the Saints to be in the game, but win it? Like, even if they get ahead of you, Allen doesn't break that 27-yard run on 3rd and 5, and they kick the ball away. And New Orleans goes down. They're down by 2 at that point, or 3?
I think 2.
Okay,
21-19.
And they get a field goal and they go up on you. I'm getting the ball back, right? Like, come on, like we're gonna do the thing, and you can't always live that way. Tampa, I mentioned earlier how every game they've won this year has been right at the wire, and they had another look at it yesterday and didn't come through. So, like, you're gonna run out at some point if you're always playing that game that way. But yeah, I was very similar sitting in the stands last Thursday at the Miami game. Same sort of scenario. I'm punting. It feels like Miami's got everything going their way here. They're about to get the ball back, and boy, they take the lead. But there's gonna be time, and I've got Josh Allen. I still think I'm okay, even if I fall behind with 2.5 minutes to go. That's a part of it. Like, that's baked into never feeling like you're going to lose the game.
It's been this way for so long that the game I think of for this is the one against the Vikings, where the Bills do end up losing in overtime. I mean, that game was so wild. And, the Bills are leading. Tell me if I don't remember any of this right. The Bills are leading. It's under a minute, and the Vikings have goal to go. And I remember how I felt about the whole thing. Minnesota is really not going to win. Whatever is going to happen here, they're actually not going to win. And they get stuffed on the goal line stand by the Bills. Right. So the Bills start at their 1. Then Allen fumbles in the end zone. Incredible, right? What have I got left in the game? 30 seconds? Or so, maybe a little more? I don't know. I've got almost no time left in the game. I've done the goal line stand. All I need to do is not that. And it happens. He fumbles.
41 seconds to go. I'm looking at the game cast now.
So there's Minnesota's touchdown. Shock. They're still not really going to win the game, though. Right? They're really not going to win the game. So they kick off. The Bills go click, click, click. Field goal. What a team.
29-yard field goal, by the way. It's not like it was a 60-yarder.
29-yard field goal.
They cruised into field goal range with, barely any time.
And I'm sitting right here looking up at that TV going, see? They're really not going to win the game. Then Minnesota gets a field goal in overtime. Mm-hmm. So the Bills get a turn, and it ends with the Patrick Peterson interception. And I sat here and just couldn't believe it. I can't believe they didn't win.
Right.
And they had so many chances to lose, but all of them they pushed off.
Right.
And then here at the end, they actually do lose. And that's, how many games are there like that? That's the AFC Championship last year. But, I was not as confident.
Right, then.
That in Kansas City, because they really couldn't stop them, that they just had to win the game. But the Vikings game, and, a lot of games that they won, like yesterday. Like Miami. Miami they threw punches. And there's Miami, despite the roughing the punter. Bills have a streak going of roughing the punter penalties. This time it cost them their punter, apparently. But, touchdown. They're trading blows, and it's 3 minutes to go, and Miami's driving down 7. They're really not going to win the game, though. And there's the play. There's Bernard.
Sorry.
What? I really couldn't guess what is funny.
Well, nothing you said was funny. What happened?
Thank you.
What happened to? Well, you weren't trying. There was nothing funny about what you said.
That's why I'm funny. Because I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah. What? At least that's what you think. No. What happened in my brain just now as I went? I would sacrifice my punter for a win. I mean, that's a tough. Sorry. That's why I chuckled, and now I decided to say it, and I probably should regret
What would the Bills, how many more games would the Bills have won or lost in the last 5 years if they didn't have a punter? The same? Would they actually have a worse record? All those drives with one more Allen play? Even the ones deep in their own end? I mean, their margin of victory is huge on average. I don't know. Maybe they have a better record than they actually do. Maybe they wouldn't. They would not think that they would.
Yeah,
the Bills would not agree with that.
And I am not advocating for not having a punter at all. I guess what I'm saying is, if it means a win, I'll get a new punter.
I'm open to it.
Next week. Sorry to the
I'm open to flying blind on punters.
That got hurt.
It would be roundly criticized.
To not have one?
Yes.
Yeah.
This team is so cocky that their punter got hurt and they replaced him with an off-ball linebacker. That's how cocky they are. What is the number this week? 8?
I saw it earlier. Hang on. I'll get it for you in a second.
Well, let's talk to Sean first while you look. Sean, go ahead.
Evening, gentlemen. Hope you guys are having a good day.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks. I'm not the fly high, fly low. I just came to make a quick point. I haven't heard anybody talk about, is Ryan Vandermark tackle number 2? Is that our swing tackle?
Yeah, he's the guy. It wasn't an accident that he was on the field. Yeah, he's the primary backup.
Oh, wow. Okay. So my only thing is, congrats, they won. They I feel like they play with their food against whoever they're playing. It's fine. They're 4-0. no highs, no lows. Just keep playing. But the Vandermark, that kind of worried me yesterday. I thought
he didn't have a great day. I don't think he had a great day. He got beat a couple times around the edge there. The mishap on the 4th and 1 call, I can't really blame him for, unless he was told to make sure to clear Osiris Torrance's leg or something, like whatever. That I didn't feel like that was a thing that I would hold against him necessarily. It was innocent enough, but he got beat a couple times. Yeah, I mean, it was noticeable that Brown wasn't there, I would say, on a couple of pass rushes.
I would agree. That's literally that was my only reason for calling is like, okay. Who is do we know who's the next person on the depth chart behind Vandermark?
You have called the right show, because I happen to have the depth chart open here. It's a rookie, Chase Lunt.
Is there any other show that would even know where to look for that answer?
Is the next? He's the next tackle. They've got 4. I think Alec Anderson in a pinch might be able to go out there if you need him to, but their depth chart is Dawkins and Brown, Vandermark, and Chase Lunt.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Sean.
the call, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night.
You too. I had no idea. Is there still AM Buffalo?
I have no idea about that.
So the show AM Buffalo,
Linda Pellegrino and who?
The name I'm thinking of is Brian Cale.
Okay, going back.
But this is back like when I was a kid.
Okay.
You could call that show.
Yes.
TV show. Yep. Channel 7. You could call AM Buffalo. They would take calls. Like, hey, just the only reason I'm calling is, do you know the name of the 3rd string Bills tackle? The starter was hurt, as you guys know, yesterday. The backup. Who's next? And I mean, I have no idea. Maybe anybody ever to have hosted that show would know that answer. But, in those days, you couldn't just sort of check your computer.
No, it was not going to be right there at your fingertips. No.
You'd have to really know it.
Right, yeah, I need the depth chart. Tylen Grable is another guy that could be an option. He's on IR, but eligible to come off at some point. You might maybe add him to the mix. He's there. So, but the guys on the active roster they had to choose from were those 2 dudes. And Vandermark played last year against the Chiefs in the regular season, and it went perfectly fine. So I don't know that you got to be very worried about it, but it wasn't great yesterday, I wouldn't say.
You could also call that number, which was not a show, but like they would just have information. You could call information. That's what it was called, information.
Information.
And ask them this question and maybe find out that way. So the baseball playoffs tomorrow. 4 games. Yankees, Red Sox.
I did something I don't say I do somewhat frequently grab if there's something that I think I might want to reference, just if it comes up like right now, I'll grab a screenshot of something. So I don't have to go looking for it. I just got it in my photos in my iPad, and I came across yesterday the little logos and like the grid, basically the 1 seeds and everything, and it just dawned on me the matchups are all perfect. Reds and Dodgers is like we're little kids. The Reds and Dodgers in the NL West are battling, duking it out.
And it's even more perfect than you're saying, because the winner gets the Phillies. And that's the same era of National League Baseball. Right. And the winner of Red Sox-Yankees gets the Blue Jays.
Right.
Which is cool.
So the matchups are just great. Padres and Cubs was an NLCS back when Steve Garvey was on the Padres.
84.
So you've got that. And then Guardians-Tigers, I mean, they were duking it out down the stretch here. Guardians just took 2 of 3 from from Detroit to win the division. It wasn't their final series, but still, it helped them do it. It's a tremendous first round. I mean, I went from not knowing what the format was to loving all 4 matchups.
Cubs win, that's Milwaukee.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I don't know what San Diego, Milwaukee is. Those teams have literally never played. And in the AL, Detroit, Cleveland gets Seattle.
That's not as tasty. But.
There is Seattle-Cleveland history from the 90s, but it's great.
Yeah, it is.
If I could line them up, I'd line them up exactly how they're lined up.
It just looks perfect to me looking at it. And again, you might out there listening be going, Reds and Dodgers? But,
Reds and Dodgers.
Big red machine, we both know those teams' lineups practically from that era, from the 70s.
Practically. Holy cow.
Right. Well, you probably know it. Yeah, you know it exactly.
No pun intended.
I'm a little foggier. But I feel like I know a lot of it.
Are we post-Morgan or are we mid Morgan.
No, mid Morgan. Yeah, I need
the machine.
Yeah. I need Morgan there.
Bill Buckner is on that Dodgers team then.
Yeah, okay.
74 or 5.
Yeah,
I'm a little later than you.
Right.
All right. Well, that's tomorrow. Today, right now, is Eric Wood coming up with his thoughts on yesterday's Bills win. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog Football Monday here on WGR.